System time regressed. Wang Hao, betrayed by his sworn brother, returned to the half-hour before the calamity erupted and was astounded to find that every roulette wheel he encountered was a tier above those of others. The one-star wheel that others would not be able to spin for weeks was accessible to him on the very first day. While others cowered in hiding, praying for rescue, he was already cutting down zombies with abandon. In this life, Wang Hao would rely on his foreknowledge. Swear to slay the enemy, redeem the regrets. Host deceased. System trigger conditions met. Now rewinding time for host to half an hour before disaster outbreak. Time rewind successful. System activated. Every roulette wheel the host encounters in the future will have its original level 1 and crystal core drop rate doubled. Wang Hao vaguely heard a mechanized female voice, then abruptly opened his eyes and suddenly found himself standing behind the counter of a coffee shop. Looking at the surroundings that were both familiar and strange, he muttered in confusion, "Isn't this the place where I worked part-time during college? Wasn't I killed by Yi Fan? Why am I here?" The white-collar workers working in the store, the girlfriends chatting, the couples playing games. None of them, nor anyone else in the world, imagined that half an hour later some of them would mutate into zombies craving flesh. Within just a few hours, cognition collapses. Society crumbles. The world becomes a paradise for zombies. Humanity falls directly from the top of the food chain to the bottom. Relying on the roulette wheels that appeared alongside the zombies, Wang Hao struggled through the apocalypse for 3 years, growing from a thin and delicate college student to a 9-star warrior. He also met many reliable companions and witnessed the darkness of the world. As the saying goes, turmoil breeds heroes. Over 3 years, many well-known powerhouses and factions emerged, showing the monsters the unyielding arm of humanity. But just when he thought humanity was beginning to counterattack on the spring festival of the 4th year, a meteor shower fell, crushing many survivors. Then countless powerful sky beasts emerged from the craters, slaughtering many renowned powerhouses, plunging the improving humanity back into darkness. I was reborn. The fragments of memory in Wang Hao's mind gradually pieced together. Recalling the system's prompt, his chest instantly ignited with blazing fury. He clenched his fists until they creaked, knuckles turning white, and roared, "Yi Fan! Yi Fan! Yi Fan!" After the meteor shower, Wang Hao's close friend Yao Wang accidentally obtained intelligence, claiming that they could break through the current level system and gain even greater power. The two then, along with several other friends, set out for the ruins to fight the sky beasts. They endured countless hardships. Finally, they arrived before the Supreme Roulette wheel indicated by the intelligence. The team had dwindled from 7 at the start to only Wang Hao, Yao Wang, and Yi Fan. But what awaited them was beyond expectation. The roulette wheel had only one reward. This meant that only one person could become stronger. At this moment, Yi Fan, who had always shown a friendly and kind demeanor, suddenly revealed his true colors. He backstabbed Wang Hao and brutally killed Yao Wang right in front of him. He took the reward alone. Ha! Ha! Wang Hao laughed in extreme anger. Yi Fan is really a good actor. He clearly disliked me and Yao Wang, yet he could still get along with us friendly for over a year. He used us without leaving a trace. Impressive, impressive. But you definitely wouldn't expect that I've been reborn. The humiliation you brought me, I will repay tenfold, no, 100-fold. The part-time student working with Wang Hao saw his terrifying, ferocious expression and his ramblings and asked weakly, "Wang Hao, what's wrong with you? Do you need me to ask the manager for leave?" Time was running out for Wang Hao. He had to reach the nearest roulette wheel he knew of before the disaster struck, but first because spinning the roulette wheel required crystal cores, and there was a certain chance that crystal cores would appear inside the heads of zombies. Wang Hao took off his apron, went out, scanned a shared bike road along the street for 3 minutes, found a hardware store, bought a grinder and a steel bar, and asked the owner to sharpen one end of the steel bar. Before leaving, he also bought a pair of work gloves to prevent the steel bar from hurting his hands. Next was to stock up on supplies. In the first few days after the disaster erupted, zombies were everywhere. Even heavily armed soldiers couldn't survive outside. So many people would be trapped at home or indoors. If they didn't prepare supplies in advance, they would starve. In his past life, Wang Hao suffered from severe hunger. He even started seeing other people's thighs as chicken legs. Wang Hao rushed into the nearest convenience store, grabbed the backpack he had bought on the way, and stuffed it with instant noodles, sausages, chicken legs, duck legs, self-heating rice, self-heating hot pot, and so on. There was so much stuff that the zipper could barely close. 15 minutes later, he appeared on the 2nd floor of an unfinished building. Several homeless people had made their home here. Some were sleeping, some picking their feet, some scratching their backs. When Wang Hao arrived, they just glanced at him, probably taking him for a homeless kid or a passerby who had wandered in. Wang Hao found a position facing everyone. He put on his work gloves, gripped the steel bar, and swung it a few times. He knew better than anyone that soon the world would descend into chaos. Among these homeless people, some might turn into zombies. At the same time, a common roulette wheel that required one ordinary crystal core per spin would materialize out of thin air on this floor. The reason Wang Hao knew there was a roulette wheel here was because in his past life, a thug named Wang had used this wheel to build his own force and monopolize the resources in this area. Later Wang Hao had a chance encounter and joined under a Wang. It was also then that he first learned about the existence of such miraculous things as roulette wheels. 5. 4. Wang Hao looked at his smartwatch. When the time jumped to exactly 1600, the world shook violently, and the sky was dyed a scarlet red. Two homeless men suddenly collapsed and convulsed, foaming at the mouth. Their skin rapidly lost its color, blue veins turned black. Their mouths filled with sharp teeth, and their fingernails became as sharp as beast claws. Holy crap, what's wrong with them? The others sprang up in terror and frantically ran out. Then they turned back to see the two's ferocious appearance, thought they had a sudden illness, and quickly pulled out phones to call the police. At the same time, similar incidents were happening all over the world. Those around who were unaffected continued with their normal activities. Only Wang Hao knew. They were simply unlucky bastards. Others could at least struggle and roll in the apocalypse or give up, but these two were stripped of even that chance, directly selected to become the first batch to mutate into zombies. Really not used to it. Suddenly become a weakling. Wang Hao gripped the steel bar tightly, his eyes blazing. The disaster had just erupted. With his current physical condition, he could at best bully a weak woman of about 100 pounds. So his margin for error was very low. It was best to kill a zombie in one strike, or the risk of failure would greatly increase. Not to mention that the two were still mutating. This was the best time to strike. According to Wang Hao's experience, if they hadn't fully turned into zombies, the probability of a crystal core in their heads was 0. Roar, roar. As Wang Hao was thinking, the two had finished mutating. They straightened up with spasms and suddenly drooling charged at the people present. Now, Wang Hao's eyes suddenly turned cold. With a swift step, he thrust the steel bar forward. The sharp tip accurately and fiercely pierced into the zombie's eye. There is only one way to kill a zombie: destroy its brain. At this stage, with insufficient strength and dull weapons, targeting the eyes is the most effective method. The steel bar pierced the zombie's eyeball, causing dark black blood to ooze out. But instead of falling, it became more ferocious. Damn, not enough strength. In his past life, Wang Hao was a 9-star warrior, his skills ranking in the top 100. When the first strike failed, he swept the zombie's legs with a kick. Taking advantage of the zombie falling, Wang Hao pulled out the steel bar, raised it, and stabbed it into the wound on the zombie's body. Once, twice, until the third time, this resilient zombie finally stopped moving. Meanwhile, another zombie pounced on a homeless man, biting a large chunk of flesh from his neck, sending several thin jets of blood spraying. The miserable screams woke the others, who were stunned, and they fled downstairs in panic. Wang Hao remained extremely calm. He walked over and kicked the zombie away. It roared and tried to get up from the ground, but a steel bar suddenly stabbed into its eye, pinning it back down. Perhaps due to the angle, Wang Hao stabbed twice more and killed the zombie. Wang Hao turned around at the sound, panting heavily as he looked at the homeless man who was beginning to mutate. Damn it, his physical fitness was still poor. Killing just 2 zombies left him panting like this. The blood from the homeless man's neck quickly turned from red to black, his joints cracking loudly, and he suddenly lunged at Wang Hao with outstretched arms. He was prepared. Taking advantage of the steel bar's length, he stabbed into the zombie's eye first, then, after finishing it, Wang Hao collapsed to the ground. He panted heavily. Outside, chaos had erupted. Screams for help, desperate cries, zombie roars, explosions, crashes. All kinds of sounds thundered incessantly. The once harmonious and beautiful world had turned into a living hell in an instant. Wang Hao caught his breath, then used the steel bar to poke through the zombie's head, but after searching around, he found nothing hard except bones. Zombies do not always drop crystal cores. In his past life, someone calculated that the drop rate was about 10, meaning 1 core per 10 zombies on average. This was still a big problem in the early apocalypse, since everyone was a novice at killing zombies. Killing 1 or 2 zombies took a tremendous amount of effort. If one was unlucky, they might kill 10 zombies without a single crystal core. In his past life, Wang Hao averaged 1 core every 5 or 6 kills, so not getting 1 from this zombie didn't affect him. He immediately went to poke the next zombie's skull. Suddenly, he felt a hard object. Using the steel bar, he picked it out, and a gray blood-stained crystal core rolled onto the ground. Lucky. A crystal core dropped after only 2 zombies. Encouraged, he went to poke the last zombie's skull and hit another core. He thought, "Are my hands that blessed?" 3 zombies total, and 2 cores dropped in a row. Wait. Wang Hao suddenly remembered the system that had triggered when he reincarnated, which mentioned crystal core drop rate doubled. His lucky streak was obviously thanks to the system. It felt amazing. Others might need 3 or 4 kills for 1 core, but Wang Hao only needed 1 or 2. Not only did it save effort, but the efficiency of farming cores was also incredible. If the drop rate doubled is true, does that mean the every roulette wheel I encounter gets 1 level is also true? Thinking this, even after 3 years in the apocalypse, usually as steady as an old dog, Wang Hao couldn't help but get excited. A normal wheel became a 1-star wheel. 1-star to 2-star, 2-star to 3-star. This may seem insignificant, but higher level wheels are rarer, and wheels above 6-star have powerful bodyguards. If the system function was real, Wang Hao could build a huge advantage in the early game. But I wonder if the spinning conditions will change when the wheel level increases. If it does change, this function is useless early on. It won't be useful until a few months later when I can get high-level crystals. Wang Hao looked around. He spotted a gray common wheel to his right rear. Earlier, he was so busy killing zombies that he hadn't noticed when the wheel had appeared. The wheel had 4 areas: weapon common, equipment common, supplies common, and common enhancement potion. The better the item in an area, the lower the probability of the pointer stopping there. The best item, enhancement potion, had only a 3 chance. The worst supplies had an 81 chance. Based on Wang Hao's experience with hundreds of spins, the probability was still 10% probability, seemingly 3, but actually even lower. Think about it. How many lifetimes would one have to sacrifice to get that potion? The cost to spin increased with each attempt: first spin, 1 core, second 2 cores, third 3 cores, and so on. Wang Hao walked up to the wheel and reached out to touch the start button, marked with gray crystal X1. Instantaneously, the wheel turned into a 1-star green color. The number of areas increased from 4 to 8, retaining the original 4 common rewards and adding weapon 1-star, equipment 1-star, supplies 1-star, and 1-star enhancement potion. The probabilities all changed. The best reward on the common wheel, enhancement potion, fell from grace, its probability rising from 3 to 16. The most joyful surprise was that the spinning conditions had not changed. What did this mean? It meant Wang Hao could use gray crystals to spin the 1-star wheel. That's a huge deal. 1-star monsters haven't even appeared yet, and I can already spin a 1-star wheel. As Wang Hao was excited, the system spoke. Host, except for you. Others cannot see or spin the system upgraded wheel. Also, when you move 1 meter away from the wheel, it will revert to its normal level. Host will receive a bonus after reaching 3-star. Keep going. Others can't see the upgraded wheel. That's good. The ability to add 1 level to every wheel was too overpowered. If exposed, it would inevitably bring deadly trouble. Now Wang Hao could silently make a fortune in secret. Let's see how lucky I am. Wang Hao dropped a gray crystal core into the slot above the start button. The dim start button instantly lit up. On a 1-star wheel, anything was fine. But for Wang Hao's current situation, the most useful would undoubtedly be a 1-star weapon followed by the common enhancement potion. A 1-star weapon would let him kill zombies like cutting vegetables. The potion would transform his body. Come on, 1-star axe. Wang Hao pressed the start button. The pointer began to rotate, accelerating to its peak, then decelerating slowly, coming to a stop on an area. Click. A test tube-like object containing red liquid dropped abruptly from the bottom of the wheel. On the first day of his rebirth, luck was on his side as he unexpectedly turned the wheel and landed an ordinary enhancement potion. Wang Hao couldn't contain his joy and hurriedly picked up the enhancement potion, twisting off the cap and gulping it down in one go. The potion transformed into a warm current upon entering his body, flowing through his limbs and bones. His original height of 178 meters increased to 183 meters. His loose flesh tightened into muscle, revealing a sculpted physique. The previous feelings of kidney deficiency and muscle weakness vanished. At this moment, he was brimming with strength. He felt like he could plow several acres of land in place of an ox. Wang Hao couldn't help but sigh in amazement. This was just a 1-star roulette. The probability of landing an ordinary enhancement potion was high. If it were an ordinary roulette, the probability would only be 3, and even with good luck, he would need at least 10 gray crystals to obtain it. With the outside world just beginning to descend into chaos, it was a good opportunity to venture out and gather some crystal nuclei. Wang Hao saw the indicator on the roulette's activation button change to gray crystal X2. After a brief moment of contemplation, he turned to leave. Just as he was heading downstairs, he suddenly thought of something, turned back to the roulette, and discovered that it had reverted to an ordinary roulette. However, the ordinary enhancement potion he had spun away was still there. Damn! Wang Hao felt both astonished and delighted. He had underestimated the system's capabilities. He had originally thought that if he spun away something on the upgraded roulette, the corresponding rewards on the roulette would disappear as well. To his surprise, it actually retained the rewards from the original roulette. This meant he could enjoy the benefits of 2 roulettes simultaneously. The system is so twisted. I really like this. As Wang Hao descended the stairs and had not yet exited, he saw a homeless man who had just fled downstairs now turned into a zombie, pouncing on a woman. Ignoring her screams, he bit down on her shoulder. Wang Hao struck the nearby scaffolding with a steel bar. A zombie that happened to run past the door heard the banging and charged in with ferocity, its mouth dripping with a mixture of blood and saliva, heading straight for Wang Hao. Without haste, he raised the steel bar and thrust it into the zombie's eye. Roar! The zombie's roaring abruptly ceased, and its hands dropped limply. This is the correct way to kill zombies. Wang Hao smiled as the corners of his mouth lifted. He had finally bid farewell to his weakling body. After drinking the ordinary enhancement potion, the difference between an ordinary person and an ordinary enhancer was evident. A zombie that previously required 3 or 4 strikes to kill now fell with just 1. He used the steel bar to stir the zombie's skull. Finding no crystal nuclei, he kicked the corpse down the stairs. Roar! Roar! A zombie carrying a backpack and another in flip-flops heard the commotion and rushed into the building. Wang Hao raised. He accurately stabbed it into the eye of the fastest-moving zombie, then swiftly pulled it out, killing another zombie in the process. He had just slain 3 zombies. He wasn't even out of breath. Who would have thought that before killing 3 zombies would leave him half dead? In the narrow hallway, Wang Hao resembled a god of war, continuously stabbing and slaying zombies, charging in like the gourd boy, saving his grandfather. In just a few minutes, the pile of corpses on the platform below reached half a meter high. Seeing that no more zombies were coming to their doom, Wang Hao crouched down to check for crystal nuclei. The drop rate was quite disappointing. On average, it took 2 zombies to yield 1 crystal nucleus. After searching all the corpses, he had gathered a total of 10 crystal nuclei. With his previous luck, to obtain 10 gray crystal nuclei, he would have needed to kill at least 40 or 50 zombies. Still not enough. Wang Hao didn't think his luck could be good enough to land the rewards he desired in just 2 or 3 spins. He hurriedly took advantage of the current distraction to gather more crystal nuclei, tapping the nearby iron with the steel bar. With a wall of corpses providing cover, he found it easier to kill zombies. This created a bizarre scene where everyone else was busy fleeing and calling for help, while Wang Hao was frantically slaying zombies. Wang Hao didn't think his luck could be good enough to land the rewards he desired in just 2 or 3 spins. He hurriedly took advantage of the current distraction to gather. When Wang Hao returned to the roulette, he had a bag full of gray crystal nuclei, and his clothes and shoes were soaked in filthy blood. He took a breath. Wang Hao put 2 crystal nuclei into the roulette. As he touched it, the 1-star roulette began to spin rapidly, and after 2 seconds it stopped at the supplies category ordinary. The area instantly darkened, and a line of small text subsequently appeared. Survival starter pack, including compressed biscuits x 5 bag, drinking water x 2 bottle. Wang Hao looked at the supplies that fell from the bottom of the roulette, smirked, and then following the activation button's prompt, put in 3 crystal nuclei. He prepared a backpack of food and water. Naturally, he looked down on the small starter pack produced by the roulette. The roulette started spinning again, this time stopping in the equipment category ordinary, from which a pair of canvas shoes fell out. Ordinary shoes, waterproof and wear-resistant. Shoes produced by the roulette were definitely more reliable than those on the market. In his previous life, Wang Hao wore ordinary shoes for almost 3 months, enduring various frictions and running, and by the time he switched to a 1-star shoe, the ordinary shoes were still 90% new. Perfect. Wang Hao's shoes were dirty. He changed into the canvas shoes and continued to follow the activation button's prompt, putting in 4 crystal nuclei. 3 seconds later, a pair of khaki casual pants fell out from the roulette. Ordinary pants, waterproof and wear-resistant. Wang Hao changed into the pants and continued to follow the activation button's prompt, putting in 5 crystal nuclei. 2 seconds later, the roulette spinner under Wang Hao's watchful gaze slowly stopped at the equipment category 1-star. Finally, I got a 1-star item. The probability is so low. Wang Hao immediately changed into the black vest that fell from the roulette, complaining, "It's a good thing I used gray crystal nuclei. If I had to use a 1-star crystal nucleus, I would have thrown up." 1-star monsters only drop 1-star crystal nuclei, and 1-star monsters have an 80% chance of defeating ordinary enhancers. Even with the 9-star warrior combat skills, Wang Hao wouldn't dare to say he could leave intact when facing a 1-star monster now. It's easy to imagine how frustrating it would be to need 15 1-star crystal nuclei just to obtain 1 piece of 1-star equipment. If only I could get a 1-star weapon as well. I hope for a hand axe. Wang Hao put in 6 crystal nuclei, murmuring, if it's not possible, a knife will do. Rewards in categories like weapons, equipment, and supplies are randomly generated. For example, if Wang Hao wants a pair of pants, he might end up with a helmet instead. Wang Hao used a hand axe in his previous life, believing it to be nimble and efficient. Now that he had a second chance, he naturally wanted to wield something he was skilled with. However, it might be difficult to land a desirable reward in 1 spin. A dagger or something like a tang knife could serve as a temporary substitute as well. Damn it. What a scam. Wang Hao watched as the roulette spinner was about to stop at the supplies category ordinary. Cursing under his breath, he didn't expect it to slowly skip over that area, bypass the 1-star enhancement potion, skip the ordinary enhancement potion, and stop at the weapon category 1-star. What the hell? Is it really this thrilling? Wang Hao's expression changed instantly, especially when he saw a silver-edged black-handled hand axe drop from the roulette. He couldn't help but burst into laughter. 1-star guillotine hand axe capable of cleaving stone and iron. The sharpness of the axe blade allows it to effortlessly sever the heads of ordinary monsters, perfectly breaking the defenses of 1-star creatures. After consecutively cleaving the heads of 3 beings, it can gather a wave of axe energy. Note the axe energy manifests as a straight line with a distance of 1.5 meters, and its specific power is determined by the level of the creature being cleaved. Furthermore, there is no time limit on using the axe energy. By pressing a point close to the blade will release the axe energy. What luck! Absolutely incredible. Wang Hao spun a total of 6 times, not only landing a 1-star piece of equipment, but also 2 ordinary items, and even obtained a weapon that suited him well. One could say his luck was exceptionally good. In his past life, there were instances where people spun dozens of times just to get their desired weapon, without success a common occurrence. Wang Hao picked up the hand axe and swung it a few times, feeling as if he had reunited with an old comrade. A familiar and warm sensation surged within him. I remember the first time I used a 1-star weapon in my previous life was 2 months later, and it was a second-hand item someone else had discarded. Who would have thought that on the very first day of this life's calamity, I would wield a brand new 1-star weapon? Wang Hao sighed. In my past life, I stood atop humanity as one of the emperors among 4 sovereigns. I doubt any of them had such an unfathomable start as mine. Wang Hao glanced at his pouch. There were approximately 11 energy crystals remaining. He had everything he wanted. Continuing to spin the 1-star wheel might yield just one more spin, which wasn't cost-effective. It was better to take advantage of the current good fortune and spin the ordinary wheel. Even if he didn't get potions, obtaining some supplies would be worthwhile. Items like a large-capacity power bank or mobile Wi-Fi would be quite practical. Of course, if luck was on his side, producing a bottle of enhancement potion would be a significant gain. One must know enhancement requires a foundational potion. The better the foundation, the more exceptional one's physical abilities become among peers. With subsequent skills and experience, one can even fight beyond their level. The maximum limit at each level is 10 potions. In his previous life, Wang Hao was unaware of this concept and lacked the ability to accumulate a solid foundation. At that time, he was simply delighted to have even 1 bottle of potion. Having been reborn, he possessed a unique advantage and naturally sought to maximize his foundational strength at every level. I once encountered a survivor of the same level with 3 foundational potions, and in terms of skills and equipment, I was almost completely outmatched. It was truly unbearable. I want to relish the feeling of dominating my peers as well. Wang Hao stepped back, allowing the 1-star wheel to revert to the ordinary wheel. He tossed an energy crystal into the air to start the wheel, so he wouldn't need to touch it and could double his reward. Was this considered exploiting a bug? Army Pot savory and fragrant average flavor. Camping gift pack contains a single-person tent mattress quilt and Peppa Pig brand mosquito repellent. Ordinary panties female, brand new non-flavored, comfortable and breathable. Ordinary enhancement potion, transformative, strengthens the body, essential for slaying enemies. Wang Hao spun the ordinary wheel 4 times in total. During the first 3 spins, he admitted he felt a bit anxious, but fortunately he obtained an enhancement potion on the last spin, perfectly concluding this round of spinning. He drank the potion and felt his strength surge significantly. This camping gift pack came just in time. Oh, I won't have to sleep on the concrete ground tonight. Wang Hao tossed the corpses from this level downstairs, and thanks to his experience in setting up tents, he quickly assembled the tent. Sitting inside the tent, he felt like an outsider. No matter how chaotic it was outside, it had nothing to do with him. Wang Hao took out some bread and ate it with fermented black bean fish while contemplating his next plan. The primary target was undoubtedly to eliminate Yi Fan. He had backstabbed Wang Hao, monopolized the wheel, and while Wang Hao was outmatched, he had actually brutalized the Demon King. He had slaughtered Wang Hao's brother. Wang Hao had known the Demon King for a long time, as they were both orphans from poor families, so they connected deeply. Later they fought through life and death together, and the Demon King had saved his life twice. One could say without the Demon King, Wang Hao would have been dead long ago. Now, thinking of Yi Fan slowly dismantling the Demon King and hearing the Demon King's agonizing cries, he revealed a look of delight and arrogance. He was filled with uncontrollable rage. He loathed his own powerlessness, helplessness, and the psychological torment was 100 times more painful than physical pain. However, Yi Fan came from a very affluent background, the richest man in city, the son of one of the world's top 100 billionaires, and his family even maintained a private militia. In his previous life, he rose to power rapidly. 90% of the reason was his family background. Even if Wang Hao were to kill him now, Yi Fan had already solidified his position, and the gap between them wouldn't be significant. Therefore, he had to expand his advantage and create a distance from Yi Fan. He needed at least a 2-star full foundation to seek revenge. After all, the wheel could also yield firearms. Yi Fan's subordinates would each need a firearm, and at that time, dozens of guns would be aimed at Wang Hao, and he wouldn't have sufficient strength. What would he do? Go to his death? I do know the locations of many high-level wheels, but without the corresponding level of energy crystals, there's no point in going to be just staring blankly. Wait a minute. Wang Hao suddenly recalled a rumor from his past life and pondered. There was someone who claimed to be a friend of the lucky empress among the 4 sovereigns who drunkenly revealed that the reason the empress could always get good items when spinning the wheel was. It was because she had a lucky ring. She mentioned where the ring was. Where? Wang Hao racked his brain. After nearly 10 minutes of contemplation, he finally remembered that the person had said the lucky empress obtained her ring from a high-end community called Starry Sky Garden in City Z. Based on his own experience, He speculated that the Empress must have encountered a very rare random reward in the wheel, which was of uncertain quality, and she had randomly drawn the lucky ring. Otherwise, considering the rarity of the ring, it would have been impossible to obtain it through normal means in the early to middle stages. Moreover, the Empress had become famous when humanity was at an average of 3 stars. If Wang Hao could obtain the lucky ring combined with the double drop rate of energy crystals, every wheel he encountered would be 1 level higher. This is simply invincible in the early stages. It would also lay an invincible foundation for the mid to late game. Is it really that coincidental? Wang Hao opened the map on his phone and found that Starry Sky Garden was on the way to City C, and by the time he finished at Starry Sky Garden, he would most likely have reached his expected strength. Then he would head to City C to eliminate Yifan. As Wang Hao was deep in thought, he suddenly heard footsteps and heavy breathing from downstairs, followed by 3 men stumbling up the stairs. It was him. Wang Hao squinted his eyes. Among the 3 men, 2 were familiar to him. One of them, a young man in a floral shirt and beach shorts with silver hoop earrings, was Wang, the first boss Wang Hao had followed, who built his own power through the wheel here and monopolized the resources of this area. The fierce-looking man beside him was his cousin known as De Zhuang. Wang Hao had a very poor impression of both, as Wang liked to make empty promises, getting others to work hard while offering only a few treats. De Zhuang, on the other hand, enjoyed showing off before his subordinates, always making them clear a path for him, while he himself stayed in the middle. Wang Hao remembered it with perfect clarity. He had found an ordinary roulette wheel and slain over 20 zombies in a desperate frenzy, fully expecting Wang to at least grant him a piece of equipment. Instead, Wang handed him a bag of biscuits and a curt "well done," dismissing him without further ado. Wang Hao murmured inwardly, no wonder Wang secured his footing so swiftly. On the very first day of the cataclysm, he'd stumbled upon a roulette wheel. Brother. De Zhuang scanned the floor below with tense vigilance, whispering, the zombies haven't followed us up. Damn it all. I just finished watching Fear the Walking Dead yesterday, and today the undead apocalypse erupts. Brother. De Zhuang scanned the floor below with tense vigilance, whispering, the zombies haven't followed us up. Damn it all. I just finished watching Fear the Walking Dead yesterday. Then abruptly, Wang caught sight of Wang Hao and froze. A tent. Outside, chaos-reigned streets teemed with rampaging zombies hunting humans, yet here sat Wang Hao, calm, unruffled, leisurely eating. Must be insane. Wang had no time to spare for Wang Hao. Turning to Huang Mao beside him, he ordered, go keep watch on him. Huh. Huang Mao recoiled, visions of bloody zombie bites flashing through his mind, panic twisting his features. What the hell? Wang kicked him hard, snapping, there's a pile of corpses downstairs. Zombies can't climb up. What the hell are you afraid of? Huang Mao slunk off, shoulders hunched. Wang summoned De Zhuang and pointed at the roulette wheel, go see what categories it offers. Oh. De Zhuang approached, scrutinizing the wheel closely before turning back. It appears to be a lottery system. Options include enhancement serums, weapons, and gear. At its center lies a gray square marked X5. Could it possibly yield something extraordinary? Wang mused. And what does that square signify? No matter. Let's set it aside for now. Call those emergency hotlines immediately. See if we can summon rescue. Meanwhile, Wang Hao, having finished his meal, lay back comfortably on the mattress inside his tent, legs crossed in serene repose. He bore no grudge against Wang. So long as Wang left him undisturbed, Wang Hao saw no reason to invite trouble. Yet this lifetime, Wang's path to stability had grown far steeper, for Wang Hao had in effect usurped his destined opportunity. One spin cost 5 gray crystals, a prohibitive price for a novice in this apocalyptic wasteland. The next day, Wang Hao awoke refreshed from a deep, restful sleep, crawled out of his tent, and stretched languidly. Just as he caught sight of Wang and his 2 companions, their faces etched with exhaustion, eyes bloodshot from a night spent wide awake in terror. When the 3 saw Wang Hao, a shared thought flickered across their minds. If he wasn't mad, then what was he? With ravenous, bloodthirsty zombies poised to storm their refuge at any moment, only someone utterly devoid of fear or reason could sleep so soundly. Wang Hao strode to the building's edge and gazed outward. Overnight, the zombies' frenzied aggression had subsided, but their numbers had swelled tenfold. Venturing outside now would risk drawing dozens of them at once. With my current strength, I no longer need to wait the full week as originally planned. Tomorrow I'll depart to seek the next roulette wheel. While shadowing Wang earlier, Wang Hao had memorized several nearby roulette locations. First, he would claim them all, convert each into tangible advantage. Gurgle spotting entrails and gore strewn across the street below, Wang Hao felt a faint pang of hunger. He retreated into his tent and retrieved 2 sandwiches from his backpack. He savored them alongside endless chicken legs. This guy truly lives with unrivaled nonchalance. Huang Mao, no longer trembling with yesterday's terror, watched Wang Hao devour sandwich after sandwich, bite after bite of chicken, his own stomach starved for nearly a day, growling in protest. He sidled up to Wang and muttered, brother Wang, none of the hotlines connect. We can't just sit here indefinitely. Go ask him for food, Wang said, eyes fixed on Wang Hao, voice low and deliberate. See whether he complies, and under no circumstances provoke him physically. Got it. Though Wang Hao feared zombies, he held no such dread toward Wang Hao, a mere green student. In the past, whenever short on cash, he'd routinely extorted students like Wang Hao. Now he sauntered over, posture cocky, and drawled, "Little brother, we're starving, and you've got more than enough provisions. Lend us some, double repayment guaranteed." Without glancing up, Wang Hao replied flatly, "Get lost." Damn it. This brat dared tell him to get lost. Wang Hao nearly lashed out as he once had against insolent students, aiming a boot straight at Wang Hao's face. But recalling a Wang's strict warning, he clenched his jaw and returned, whispering, "Brother Wang, he refuses to cooperate. I browsed online forums last night. Global collapse is total. Few succeed in reaching rescue lines. Even those who do are told help is impossible. Their own superiors remain silent, awaiting orders. Our survival depends solely on ourselves." Precisely, Wang nodded. "First, secure sustenance. Since he chooses defiance, we'll show no mercy. At nightfall, while he sleeps, we'll move in silently. De Zhuang will restrain him. Huang Mao, you strike to kill. No cry, no sound. One slip, and we all perish." Truly the man destined to rise as a warlord, ruthless, without hesitation. To prevent Wang Hao from alerting zombies, Wang chose annihilation outright. Such brutality might be expected weeks later, but this was only day 2 of the cataclysm. "Kill him." Huang Mao's expression faltered. "What's there to fear? Look outside. Do you truly believe we'll return to the old world? Even if peace somehow returns, we'll simply discard his body from the rooftop. Who would ever trace it to us?" Wang's voice turned icy. "If you refuse, I won't force you, but neither will you share in any spoils afterward." Huang Mao hurriedly assured him, "I'll do it. I'll do it. Make it swift." Wang withdrew a folding knife from his pocket and pressed it into Huang Mao's palm. Huang Mao tucked the blade away. A cold gleam flashed deep within his eyes. Wang Hao had brought this upon himself. This was no betrayal, but consequence. Wang barely registered Wang Hao as a threat. His sole obsession was the roulette wheel, a device he sensed could irrevocably reshape his fate. Once hunger was resolved, he would devote himself entirely to deciphering the wheel. Yet the trio never imagined their hushed conspiracy had been heard in its entirety, every word crystal clear, by Wang Hao. As an enhanced being, his senses were magnified several times beyond human capacity. Not a bad plan. Pity you picked the wrong target. Wang Hao had no intention of striking first. With time to spare, he saw merit in letting Wang and his companions savor the exquisite torment of anticipation, the gnawing anxiety of waiting for death's approach. The prey sits before you, yet the agony of waiting to feast remains unbearable. As Wang Hao mentally reviewed knowledge gathered across lifetimes, memories both lived and overheard, the dusk deepened. He yawned softly. He feigned sleep. Finally, they're moving. Huang Mao snapped open the folding knife, eyes sharp and cold. "I'm starving mad. Hold your breath." Wang cautioned, "Wait until he's deeply asleep. After all, 3 of us versus 1 youth. Surely no complications could arise. Still, I'll tolerate no margin for error." The yellow-haired boy nodded, thinking that it would be good if that little brat could last a few more hours. De Zhuang cracked his knuckles, grinning at Wang Hao as he said, "With that little frame of his, I can knock him out with a single punch." Half an hour later, De Zhuang received a signal from Wang and approached the tent quietly, while the yellow-haired boy followed closely behind with a folding knife, already plotting to stab Wang Hao in the heart once De Zhuang had him restrained. De Zhuang fixed his gaze on Wang Hao. Suddenly, like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey, he lunged forward, but at that moment he was startled to see Wang Hao open his eyes, looking very much awake. The upward curve of Wang Hao's lips sent chills down De Zhuang's spine. Not good. It's a trap. Just as the thought crossed his mind, Wang Hao sprang up, wielding an axe, and swung it horizontally across De Zhuang and the yellow-haired boys' heads instantly, leaving a gash on their faces. Wang Hao walked past the two. He looked at Wang, his deep-set eyes shining like stars. Swoosh. Wang Hao's axe moved with astonishing speed. A few seconds passed before the two heads sprayed blood, barely having time to scream, their faces still displaying the expressions of having Wang Hao under control. Wang's expression froze. What just happened? Why did De Zhuang and the yellow-haired boy lose half their heads? Suddenly, Wang caught sight of the hand axe in Wang Hao's hand. His pupils shrank to the size of a needle. This can't be real, can it? Wang had previously smashed others' heads, but with just a metal rod the opponent would only bleed and faint, their skull undamaged. Even with a knife, it's impossible to split a head open in one blow. Yet Wang Hao seemed to slice through their heads, as if cutting through tofu. This feels right. Wang Hao smiled, saying, "Using this hand axe is just so convenient." A demon. This is a demon. Wang was so frightened he lost his voice, trembling as hot liquid flowed down his legs. He had thought Wang Hao was just a soft target, someone he could bully and manipulate, but he never expected him to be a ruthless killer who wouldn't blink an eye. Wang Hao stepped forward. The axe rose and fell. Wang, the little boss who once dominated this area in his previous life with dozens of followers, fell before Wang Hao. The main issue was that he had followed a Wang. Back then he was nothing more than an inconspicuous lackey in a Wang's eyes. Wang Hao returned to the tent where the 3 corpses were still bleeding, yet he laid down and fell asleep as if he were an outsider. Such peaceful days of sleep would be few and far between. He would sleep whenever he could. As the levels of monsters increased, there would be no safe place in the world, and by then being able to sleep would be a blessing. The next day, after finishing breakfast, Wang Hao shouldered his supplies and stepped over the pile of corpses. Today there were nearly half as many zombies on the street as there were yesterday. There were probably around 20 or 30 of them. There's a roulette on the 3rd floor of Vang's apartment. I forgot which room exactly. Wang Hao moved quietly along the wall, following the GPS on his phone to his destination. Most monsters are very sensitive to sound. If one moves and doesn't keep quiet, even 10 lives wouldn't be enough. Thus, in the later stages of the apocalypse, everyone became like assassins. Moving silently was more important than being a ghost. There were even extraordinary individuals who could hear the sound of organs beating. As Wang Hao was about to pass a junction, he stopped and watched a zombie with a computer bag low growling as it walked out of the passage. He raised his axe. He cleaved through the zombie's skull. Suddenly, Wang Hao caught sight of a gray crystal entangled in nerve fibers. With a flick of his hand axe, the gray crystal was smoothly extracted from the zombie's head, tracing a parabolic arc in the air before landing in his hand. Having a suitable weapon made a difference. With the same physical condition yesterday, he took 1 second to kill a zombie with a steel bar. Today, with the hand axe, he could kill and retrieve the crystal in less than half a second. Wang Hao took off the zombie's backpack, emptied its contents, and slung it on his back specifically for storing crystals. He continued to move forward. He specialized in hunting down lone zombies. By the time he reached his destination, he had collected a total of 24 gray crystals. He entered Vang's apartment and suddenly heard a dense growling from the direction of the fire escape, prompting him to push open the door. What he saw was a corridor wide enough for 4 people to walk side by side, packed with zombies, particularly blocked at the landing between the 1st and 2nd floors. The large amount of blood had stained the light gray floor tiles and white walls pitch black. The stench of blood was overwhelming. An ordinary person would have their legs turn to jelly at this sight, running away at full speed. Yet Wang Hao smiled as if he had discovered a treasure. No matter how it was used, it dealt AoE damage. He casually closed the door, pressed the protruding point under the edge of the axe blade, and the blade instantly glimmered with a cold light, appearing exceptionally sharp. In the corridor, no matter how it was used, it dealt AoE damage. He casually closed the door, pressed the protruding point under the edge of the axe blade, and the blade instantly glimmered with a cold light, appearing exceptionally sharp. As he swung down, an invisible axe energy sliced through the air, creating a straight line. All the zombies it touched, be it their bodies or heads, were cleaved in half. Blood sprayed all over the nearby zombies. It must be said that such power appearing just a few days after the disaster broke out was simply outrageous. Roar! Roar! This single strike killed at least 8 or 9 zombies, thus creating space for the jammed corpses, allowing several zombies that had been mauled by their companions to break free, their bloodied mouths gaping as they charged towards Wang Hao. He stepped forward, his axe moving like cutting vegetables, effortlessly cleaving through one zombie's head after another with minimal movement. It was as easy as waving a hand. This was incredibly efficient. Even after killing 100 zombies, he wouldn't feel tired. This was also why he favored the hand axe, as it was clean and efficient, yielding the maximum results with minimal effort. 3 minutes later, the staircase leading to the 2nd floor, which was originally crowded with zombies, was now filled with corpses, and Wang Hao had added 16 gray crystals to his backpack. He stepped over the bodies to the upstairs, directly progressing from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor. Wang Hao prioritized looking for open rooms, and fortunately, he found room 409 at the end of the corridor, where he located the roulette on the bed. Just as he remembered, this was an ordinary roulette. His goal was very clear. He wanted ordinary enhancement potions to max out his basics, and next he needed 1-star enhancement potions. Last time I used 10 gray crystals to get 1 bottle of potion. Now I have 47 gray crystals in hand. 3 bottles of potions shouldn't be too much, right? Wang Hao touched the roulette, and the layout and rewards on it instantly changed. Following the prompts, he inserted the 30,000 mAh power bank. Ordinary enhancement potion. Common shoes. Raincoat. 1-star enhancement potion. 1-star black rhinoceros pants, men's pants, high defense, sufficient toughness, resistant to scratches, waterproof, and bulletproof, a must-have for adventuring. Ordinary enhancement potion. Super strong antibiotic medicine. Wow, today is a lucky day. Most of the rewards he spun were useful to Wang Hao. Wang Hao changed into a 1-star black rhinoceros pants and paired it with a 1-star outfit. As long as he protected his head, it wouldn't matter how close the zombies got. Continuing to spin the 1-star roulette holds little significance, as there are many areas for the 1-star roulette and the chance of landing on the desired reward is slim. It would be better to spin the ordinary roulette. Even if it's given for free, he could at least spin it 4 times. Wang Hao stepped back to revert the 1-star roulette to the ordinary one. He then tossed in a crystal core from a distance. Ordinary triangular pants. 10-meter phone charging cable. Portable electric fan. Ordinary enhancement potion. He exchanged 47 gray crystals for 3 bottles of ordinary potions, 1 bottle of 1-star enhancement potion, and some 1-star equipment along with a few minor rewards. This was a significant profit. Wang Hao's basic luck wasn't bad. If he truly obtained the lucky ring, his frequency of enjoying feasts would be quite frightening. The feeling of becoming stronger is truly exhilarating. Wang Hao drank 3 bottles of ordinary enhancement potions in succession, exhaling with satisfaction and feeling energized all over. He tried swinging a set of punches. Each punch sliced through the air with incredible speed. No wonder he used to be overwhelmed by survivors of the same level with just 3 basic potions. Now with 5 basic potions, he was already very close to 1-star level, significantly stronger in every aspect compared to when he had just 1. The next destination is... Wang Hao glanced at his phone's memo and muttered, Yunfan Tennis Court. He could have focused on spinning a roulette for potions, but the efficiency of finding a new roulette was higher due to the low drop rate of crystal cores. The old roulette required 8 crystal cores per spin. Even with good luck, Wang Hao would need to kill over a dozen zombies, whereas the same number of crystal cores could allow for 3.5 spins on a new roulette. He walked out the door and surveyed the area below. There weren't many zombies nearby. He could afford to be a bit reckless. Wang Hao threw an empty can from the room, and the sound of it clattering to the ground echoed loudly in the silent corridor. In an instant, dozens of zombie howls erupted from upstairs and downstairs, their frenzied footsteps shaking the window frames as the grotesque zombies rushed into the corridor, lunging at the rolling empty can, frantically attacking. Wang Hao's eyes glinted as he advanced with his axe, swiftly decapitating the zombies one by one. Each gray crystal flew through the air, trailing from the splattering blood, landing into the open pockets of Wang Hao's backpack. Zombies truly weren't weak. They were fearless and carried a passive ability to harm and infect. Humans tend to be cautious against this passive ability, often able to exert only 70% of their full strength. Now they seemed weak, but that's only because Wang Hao was too strong. He could kick a zombie several meters away, focusing solely on their heads. Often the zombies hadn't even made a move before their heads were half gone. On the 4th floor of the building across the apartment, a chubby kid caught sight of Wang Hao's killing spree and hurriedly waved his hand back, stammering in shock. Sister, come quickly, come see this." "Not interested." The long-faced girl slumped on the sofa replied weakly, "I haven't eaten for almost 2 days. If I see those bloody, disgusting scenes, I might throw up my bile." "Oh, why hasn't the rescue come yet?" "Someone is killing zombies," the chubby kid said anxiously. "Don't be ridiculous." The long-faced girl waved her hand. "I've seen how powerful zombies can be. Their sharp teeth can scare a person to death." I would kneel before him. The remaining survivors were engulfed in fear, controlled by the zombies. If there was a crack in the ground, they would quickly burrow into it. Badass. I would kneel before him. The remaining survivors were engulfed in fear, controlled by the zombies. If there was a crack in the ground, they would quickly burrow into it. They didn't even dare to glance outside, fearing that a zombie might suddenly leap into their home. Someone is killing zombies. Only a fool would believe that. "Come see for yourself," the chubby kid insisted, eager to share his astonishment as he pulled the long-faced girl to the balcony. She languidly followed the direction the chubby kid pointed to. Her beautiful eyes widened in shock. At that moment, Wang Hao was taking down zombies one by one. The exceptionally sharp hand axe effortlessly severed half of a head, and the thick, dark blood sprayed onto him without causing him to blink. There really was someone killing zombies. Moreover, it was an even more insane slaughter. "Who exactly is the monster?" the long-faced girl exclaimed. "How can this possibly be a human?" Not just the 2 siblings, others who could see Wang Hao slaughtering zombies were equally astounded and couldn't believe that someone could be so formidable. That axe of his cuts through zombie heads like cutting tofu, cleaving them in one blow. Or is it that zombies lack calcium? He seems not to be human. Uncertain, let me watch a little longer. Ugh, he's so incredible. Ugh, so disgusting. Wow, while we're hiding, he's out there killing zombies directly. I'm impressed. Ugh, why do I feel like I could do it too? On the 5th floor of the building, diagonally across from the apartment, a strong man with glasses stood behind the door, holding a stick with a knife fixed at the end, taking deep breaths. After seeing Wang Hao wildly killing zombies, his confidence surged. He believed that if Wang Hao could do it, so could he. After all, years of fitness training weren't for nothing. "When I go out, I can't panic if I encounter zombies. I should be able to kill them by poking their eyes." The glasses-wearing man prepared himself mentally, cautiously opened the door, and just as he was about to peek outside, the door was suddenly smashed open by a zombie. It bit down on the glasses-wearing man's shoulder. The fierce growl seemed to say, "You thought I was deaf," while you took deep breaths at the door. Wang Hao was unaware that someone was watching him. At that moment, he charged from the corridor to the stairway, spotting a horde of zombies pushing and shoving towards him. He pressed down on the protruding point of the axe's blade and suddenly swung out a cold, fierce axe energy. All the zombies in a straight line were cleaved in half. Thick blood splattered down. Wang Hao stepped on the blood and remains killing his way downstairs. Upon exiting the apartment, he swiftly turned into the passage between the buildings on the right. In the apocalypse, one must not linger in battle. The zombies' howls would attract more of their kind. If he delayed for too long, he would soon be surrounded. Hey, young man. As Wang Hao passed by a 3-story small building, a plump lady with sagging cheeks on the second-floor balcony spotted him and called out with bright eyes, "You're brave to be out here in such danger. Come save me. Let's go together." Wang Hao didn't even turn his head, continuing on his path. "Are you deaf? I'm talking to you," the plump lady said, hands on her hips, dissatisfied. "If you really can't come to save me, just toss me what you have to eat. I'm over 60 and can't withstand hunger." Wang Hao chuckled. From her first sentence, she hadn't used please or request, as if it was entirely natural for Wang Hao to save her. The key point was the food. She immediately demanded all the food Wang Hao had. Why was her face so big? How can you lack basic manners? The elderly woman scolded Wang Hao, who had not responded promptly. Don't your parents care about you? Or do you have a mother who gave birth to you, but didn't raise you? Forget it. If it's troublesome, then let it be troublesome. Wang Hao's expression turned icy as he turned around to break the lock on the small courtyard gate, and with another swing of his axe, he shattered the lock on the door. What are you doing? Hey, who let you in? Do you believe I'll report you? The elderly woman exclaimed in shock as a swarm of zombies surged into the corridor, rushing into her yard, screaming, "Ah! Quick, close the door." Respecting the elderly and cherishing the young is a traditional virtue. However, some elderly people have become spoiled, taking others' kindness for granted, and once someone treats them poorly, they immediately turn hostile. At that moment, the zombies that had entered the small building split into 2 groups. One group pursued Wang Hao, who had run up to the rooftop, while the other rushed up to the second floor. The elderly woman, unable to outrun them, was soon knocked to the ground by several zombies, her sharp cries momentarily drowning out the sounds of the undead. Blood gushed forth violently. Wang Hao ran to the edge of the rooftop and leaped down. This small building was several meters high. For an ordinary person, jumping straight down would likely result in serious injury or worse. If others saw Wang Hao's actions, they would certainly think he was panicking without a plan, but let's not forget Wang Hao is an enhancer. Upon landing, he paused for just a moment before swiftly climbing over the wall. His feet didn't even feel numb. Bang, bang, bang. The zombies that chased him from the rooftop followed Wang Hao and crashed down onto the concrete ground, creating a series of crashing sounds. The unluckiest one was the first to jump. Those who jumped later smashed them into a pulp. Wang Hao used the leap to shake off the horde of zombies, and by around 5:30 in the afternoon, he arrived at the Yunfan Tennis Center, located 400 to 500 meters away. Approaching, he discovered that the door of the tennis center was locked. Nearby, a chubby man was sitting against the wall. At this moment, he also noticed Wang Hao, quickly grabbing a tennis racket beside him and standing up, nervously staring at Wang Hao. Is he a human or a monster? If he is a human, he is covered in blood and has a terrifying gaze, yet if he is a monster, he is strangely calm. Unlike the zombies, he wasn't roaring and clawing. The chubby man trembled, his eyes darting into the tennis center, seemingly wanting to call for help, but fearing to alert Wang Hao. He thought to himself how unlucky he was to encounter such a fierce character on his first day on duty, wondering who could tell him what to do now. Open the door, Wang Hao spoke, which surprisingly relieved the chubby man. He can talk. He must be human. Humans are much friendlier than monsters. I don't know if I can open the door for you, but it's up to Director Li, the chubby man said quietly. Let me go ask. Wang Hao initially did not want to break the lock, fearing that he would be disturbed by zombies while manipulating the door lock, but he also did not want to complicate matters. He raised his axe, exuding a chilling aura that sent the chubby man into a state of ice. I want to open the door, or I will die. I'll open it. The chubby man's face turned pale as he twisted the door lock and pulled the door open, glancing at Wang Hao's axe, unable to help but stammer, "Big brother, please don't kill me." Wang Hao walked past the chubby man and entered the tennis center, seeing the large venue with 14 people and a standard wheel near the wall. The center was overall clean. There was no blood, nor were there any corpses. This indicated that these people were all fortunate. On the day the disaster struck, no one inside the center had been unfortunate enough to turn into a zombie. Wang Hao's gaze scanned over the 14 people and paused on a girl with long black hair, thinking he had encountered. She had bright eyes and white teeth, skin as smooth as jade, and although she had a pair of peach blossom eyes, her overall look was as cold as if covered by frost. On a scale of 10, she would score a 9.7. Wang Hao had seen countless women during his years of struggle in the apocalypse. Any woman who could score over 8 in his eyes was considered a goddess, and those scoring over 9 could be deemed national beauties. Thus one could imagine how stunning Zhang Mengyao was to achieve a score of 9.7. Of course, Wang Hao was not the type to lose composure upon seeing a woman. After a few glances, he withdrew his gaze and headed straight for the wheel. At that moment, someone noticed Wang Hao and exclaimed in surprise, "Him? How did he get in?" The others turned to look at Wang Hao, all startled by his cold and bloody appearance, with some timid ones even stepping back. Is he a human or a ghost? So terrifying. Chubby. A tall and handsome young man standing beside Zhang Mingyao glared at the chubby man at the door and said, "Who allowed you to let people in without permission?" The chubby man looked elsewhere, remaining silent. He thought to himself, Li Jinxin stands there without feeling the pressure. You should try confronting him. Facing him directly, I felt uneasy. The moment he raised the axe, I suddenly felt like I was facing a titan. It's terrifying. If I didn't wet myself, I would consider myself strong. Oh, a petite and delicate girl exclaimed in surprise. Isn't he Wang Hao? How did he become like this? He seems like a different person. I didn't even recognize him when I first saw him. The serious-faced director Li asked, "Do you know him?" "He is in my class," the petite girl said, looking at the elegant girl beside her. "Xiang Ru, didn't you recognize him either?" Xiang Ru, chewing gum, looked at the extraordinary Wang Hao with interest and asked, "Is he really from our class?" Yes. They attended the same university as Wang Hao and gathered at the tennis center on the day the disaster struck, preparing to participate in tennis training. They were trapped inside the center afterward. Surviving on some food brought by a few people during the journey, they had managed to hold on until today. Xiang Ru, like Zhang Mingyao, came from a wealthy family, scoring 9.1 points in looks. Due to the multitude of suitors, her standards were quite high, and she could hardly remember more than 10 people from school, even among her classmates. She couldn't recognize them all either. At this moment, Xiang Ru was a bit puzzled. Logically, a cool and stylish person like Wang Hao should leave a strong impression, yet why did he feel so unfamiliar? That's right, the petite girl nodded and said, "He's an orphan. He works his way through school." Playing the pig, Xiang Ru's lips curled upward. She couldn't believe that just a few days could lead to such a dramatic transformation in Wang Hao. Therefore, his ordinariness in school must have been an act, and she couldn't help but feel curious about Wang Hao, wondering if he was a killer. Working his way through school meant taking assassination contracts, going abroad to be a mercenary during summer and winter breaks. The others were shocked to learn that Wang Hao was their classmate. This was surprising because apart from his youthful face, he exuded a cold and steady aura, making it impossible to tell that he had any traits of a student. What a stark contrast. He seems very reliable. People fear comparisons. When compared to them, they look. Well, let's not talk about it. The girls recalled those boys who on the day of the disaster were so scared that their faces turned pale and their legs trembled, nearly crying for help, and later had to take turns standing guard at the door, utterly unwilling. In contrast, Wang Hao dared to move outside alone. Given the blood on him, he likely had the courage to kill zombies. Alas, one could only say, there's no harm without comparison. So it turns out he is a student from our school. Director Li stared at the backpack behind Wang Hao, sensing it likely contained food, murmuring, "It seems he knows a lot. We can have him guide us later." Wang Hao transformed the roulette into a one-star roulette and began to toss in crystal cores. What the heck? Is the drop rate of this roulette really that high? He spun it twice and received 2 potions. Vitality Biscuit, 1 star below 2 stars, consuming 1 piece, can eliminate fatigue and restore stamina to its peak state. Powerful Spinach, dried 1 star, strength increases by 50 for 15 minutes. Wang Hao spun a total of 9 times, consuming 45 gray crystals, with 16 remaining. This time he was quite lucky. 3 ordinary potions, 1 one-star potion, and some very practical supplements like biscuits emerged from the spins. Wang Hao glanced at the gray crystals in his hand and chose to spin once more. He let the 1-star roulette revert back to a normal roulette and tossed in a crystal core. Camping gift pack. Ordinary strengthening potion. Ordinary green, hat 1, must wear something green on the head to live well. He felt comfortable. Just 3 spins yielded a bottle of ordinary potion. Additionally, he obtained a camping gift pack, which resolved where he would sleep tonight, although this green hat was somewhat glaring. The ordinary backpack can't meet my needs. It would be great to get a 1-star backpack, Wang Hao said as he opened his bag to organize the rewards, while Director Li and the others observed his every move. They suddenly realized how the roulette worked. They had studied it before, but only knew it could yield rewards. They had no idea how to activate it or where to obtain crystal cores. Let's go over there. Director Li led the group toward Wang Hao, while Zhang Mingyao did not follow, and instead walked to the plastic chairs outside, sitting down, just as Li Jinxin took a seat beside her. "Mingyao, what's wrong?" "It's nothing," Zhang Mingyao replied coldly. "He doesn't look like an easy person to talk to, and I've never asked anyone for help my whole life." "There's no need to follow," Li Jinxin chuckled. "I estimate that in the next couple of days whether our families can come to save us will be known. Although it's highly probable, if not, I'll go out to kill zombies and bring back food. They'll be here with you," he added. "I won't let you suffer even the slightest bit of grievance." Li Jinxin appreciated Zhang Mingyao's aloofness, feeling that no woman he had encountered before could compare to her in any way. In truth, which man doesn't want to conquer her? She comes from a prominent family, has high intelligence, and boasts exceptional beauty and figure, being hailed as the school flower on the second day of her enrollment. Ordinary people only dare to fantasize about her at night. Those pursuing her are all rich young heirs or officials. Even Li Jinxin, the top young master of H City, seemed like a sycophant in front of Zhang Mingyao. She felt indifferent toward Li Jinxin, and their seating together was merely due to their families being acquaintances. However, in this perilous environment, hearing Li Jinxin's words filled with masculinity still warmed her heart somewhat. Meanwhile, Director Li approached Wang Hao and made a gesture to a petite girl who initially did not understand, but later caught on after being reminded by others. Wang Hao, the petite girl, spoke. "Did you not see me, and Xiang Ru? Who are you?" Wang Hao turned to the petite girl, unable to recall who she was, but the name Xiang Ru reminded him of someone. Xiang Ru, the Mad King, ranked 7th on the combat power leaderboard, a terrifying presence that instilled fear in countless survivors. Later, someone dug up her information, revealing her real name was Xiang Ru, but that was all. There was no more specific information, as the Mad King ruthlessly slaughtered everyone who attempted to uncover her details. "Classmates," the petite girl pointed at Xiang Ru and awkwardly added, "You might not remember me, but surely you remember Xiang Ru, right? She is the flower of our class." Wang Hao scrutinized Xiang Ru. He couldn't determine if she was the Mad King based on looks alone, as he had no idea who had disfigured her. However, she appeared to be a vibrant young girl lacking the crazed ferocity that the Mad King exuded. Could it be that they merely share the same name? "Oh," Wang Hao said indifferently, and then, his memories of school were not particularly clear, likely because he had spent most of his time working to support himself. Furthermore, he had experienced countless events afterward, making it quite normal not to recognize a classmate. The petite girl awkwardly looked towards Director Li. How was she supposed to respond to Wang Hao's remark? Although they were classmates, they had never interacted and were hardly familiar. She didn't even know how to establish a connection at this point. Cough. Director Li chimed in. "Wang Hao, I am the guidance director. During these critical times, we should unite as one. Just look at how much food you have. Can you share some with us?" He continued, looking at the others. "We have all been starving for almost a day, and you can see how listless they are. Classmate Chun has fainted from hunger twice already. If you turn right after going out and walk a few dozen meters, there is a small shop," Wang Hao replied blandly. "If you want to eat something, go get it yourself. This student doesn't seem very bright. If we could go out, would we need to come find him?" Director Li chuckled. "There are many monsters outside, and we don't possess your abilities, so how could we dare to go out? Don't think too much about it. Just because you worked hard to find food, why should you share it with us, eh? With great power comes great responsibility. If you help me, I'll help you too. That's how the older generations did it. What a grand promise." Wang Hao would say a few more words due to a sliver of camaraderie among classmates, but it was impossible for Director Li to exploit him. "I've said all I need to say." Wang Hao's voice grew cold. "Don't bother me. Otherwise, you'll bear the consequences." Director Li looked into Wang Hao's eyes, feeling an inexplicable fear, unable to comprehend how a student could possess such a chilling gaze. Even murderers from legal news aren't as terrifying as him. "We've come to you in such numbers. Is your heart made of iron? How can you still say no?" A boy with dandruff on his head complained. "Stop being selfish, okay? If you're the last person left in the world, what will you do?" "You can play by yourself," Wang Hao replied. "You've really got me fed up with you. Sigh. If you didn't take some real action, these people would never stop. Kill you." Wang Hao raised his deep-set eyes and said, "What's wrong?" The boy suddenly felt as if he were being targeted by a beast, tension causing cold sweat to bead on his forehead. Unconsciously swallowing, he said, "Killing someone will land you in jail. I advise you to think it over. It's not a big deal. Just correct it in time." "Oh." Wang Hao swiftly slapped the boy's face. He didn't use his full strength. His neck twisted grotesquely, his body remaining still, yet his head turned horrifically from front to back, his eyes bizarrely lifting upward. Director Li and the others were stunned. Only Xiang Ru's eyes shone like light bulbs. "Oh, this man is incredibly handsome. Oh." The person behind the boy covered their mouth and screamed, terrified, as they fell to the ground. The others also woke up in a panic, fear causing them to retreat. "Whoever screams will die," Wang Hao said coldly. 3. The last sound of 3 hadn't even settled. The scream was immediately extinguished by fear, and the gaze towards Wang Hao was filled with dread, their legs trembling involuntarily. "Who said that? Who the hell said he was a student? Which student can kill without blinking? Is he a student from the assassination classroom?" Wang Hao noticed that Xiang Ru not only wasn't afraid, but was actually particularly excited. He was astonished. "Aren't you afraid? I'll go berserk." "Why should I be afraid?" Xiang Ru smiled. "To slap someone's head 180 degrees off is super cool, okay?" Wang Hao frowned. What Xiang Ru said made her seem more like a crazy king. At this stage, even someone with a strong psychological quality wouldn't be able to excitedly call Wang Hao's actions super cool while looking at a still warm corpse. That's illogical. It's more like there's something wrong. However, if Xiang Ru truly is a crazy king, Wang Hao would rather steer clear of her. The title of Crazy King is built upon countless mad actions. Encountering her could mean she might take action at first sight. "Right. What are you looking at? What's it to you?" Then the two began to fight. The key point is that the Crazy King's combat power is exceptionally high. Wang Hao, as a 9-star warrior, only ranks 24th on the power list, which says a lot. The two had crossed paths before, and at that time Wang Hao panicked upon seeing the crazy king thinking of how to escape. But in the end the crazy king simply said, "You're too weak," and completely ignored Wang Hao, delivering a psychological blow. It can be said that the crazy king is a figure Wang Hao needs to look up to. Wang Hao disregarded Xiang Ru and set up a tent in an empty spot, while she stood awkwardly, her enthusiasm dampened. This man is truly cold-hearted. Xiang Ru's interest in Wang Hao deepened, thinking to herself that following him would surely lead to many thrilling events. Every man I've encountered, regardless of age, has rushed to reveal their dirty thoughts to me. Even the gay ones would steal a few glances, but he treats me like air and just walks past. An outrageous thought suddenly emerged in her mind. As Wang Hao finished setting up the tent, he went out to fetch 2 barrels of water, using the tent as a screen to wash away the blood and grime on his body. Diving and parkour. Wang Hao's uniqueness and ruthlessness deeply attracted Xiang Ru, much like the bad boys who are highly favored by. An outrageous thought suddenly emerged in her mind. As Wang Hao finished setting up the tent, he went out to fetch 2 barrels of water, using the tent as a screen to wash away the blood and grime on his body. The cleaning ability of a 1-star gear is quite good. Dirty things don't stick, and a quick wash makes it look brand new. Then with a flick, even the drying step can be skipped. He sat down in the tent. Taking a few sips of the newly acquired 4 bottles of ordinary enhancement potions, a surge of power instantly filled his body. While his muscles didn't change much in size, he could feel himself becoming noticeably sturdier and harder, and his brain and senses were also enhanced. Many previously vague memories became clear. He looked towards the people several dozen meters away, and could see the distinct hairs on one boy's hand, and he could even hear them whispering, their voices so soft that they couldn't be heard unless they were within half a meter. Is he possessed by a ghost? How can a person have such strength to twist someone's head with one punch? Is he going to kill us? I'm so scared. The chubby guard at the door had his heart racing, relieved as he said, "I knew he was extraordinary. Just that one glance from him can make someone feel a suffocating pressure. Whoever has experienced it knows fear, and yet they ask why I let him in. As if I had a choice. How lucky I am to be so clever, otherwise I would have been the one to die." Including the ones he drank before, Wang Hao had already consumed 9 bottles of ordinary enhancement potions. If he goes out tomorrow to collect some crystal cores and spins out another bottle of ordinary potion, he'll be able to reach the full capacity of an ordinary enhancer. The concept of full capacity was proposed by one emperor among the 4 emperors. At that time, he was already a 7-star. According to the average power of people at that time, it meant that only from 3 stars onwards could someone achieve full capacity. But Wang Hao is still ordinary and hasn't even reached 1 star yet he is already close to achieving full capacity in ordinary. And in terms of combat power, he can match any untransformed 1-star in an arm wrestling match. That's quite terrifying. One must know that the barriers between levels are significant and the differences are quite large. Rarely can someone fight beyond their level based on their own qualities. At the latest the day after tomorrow, I can stack my full capacity in ordinary, then rush to Z City and stow the lucky ring in my pocket. Wang Hao looked at his phone's memo, confirmed tomorrow's route, and reached into his backpack to take out a portable gas stove that came with the military pot. This thing can be understood as a portable gas stove. After running all day, he was so hungry that his stomach was uncomfortable. Wang Hao poured water into the small pot, waiting for it to boil before adding the sauce pack, vegetable pack, meat pack, cheese, and a large piece of bread. Delicious, so fragrant. Where did this aroma come from? As everyone just escaped their panic, they suddenly caught the scent of sauce wafting from the small pot, and couldn't help but turn their heads in unison, their mouths watering instantly. Unable to resist swallowing. Desiring a taste. Oh my. Does Wang Hao's life have to be this good? Even at this moment, he can still manage a pot. They had been starving for a day or 2, feeling acid in their stomachs. Now if they could just have something to eat, they would be grateful to heaven and earth. How could they still hope for hot food? Wang Hao's life. Their dream. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Wang Hao broke apart the disposable chopsticks, rubbed them against each other, then joined the noodles swirling in the pot, taking a mouthful. So satisfying. Enhancers generally have an appetite 2 to 3 times that of ordinary people. After finishing the military pot, Wang Hao was still not satisfied. He casually found a spot, poured the soup from the small pot, then took out 2 boxes of self-heating hot pot, opened the packaging, and tossed everything into the pot. Several boys looked at the steaming soup on the ground. They couldn't help but pout. It's over. Why do I want to lick a bite? A few of them felt like crying without tears, thinking to themselves, I'm so hungry. If only Wang Hao would give me a bite, I would gladly call him dad. He's just showing off. We have nothing to eat while he does, flaunting his abilities. Zhang Mingyao furrowed her brows. The scene of Wang Hao killing that man had a significant impact on her. She couldn't understand why, despite gaining power, Wang Hao's hostility was so intense. Even if he didn't want to help, was killing necessary? Suddenly her phone in her pocket vibrated. She took it out and opened the message, her bright eyes shining. There's news. It says someone will come to rescue us tomorrow morning, asking us to be prepared and not to shout excessively. Finally, a reply has come. Li Jinxin looked at Wang Hao and smiled. Now we can relax, we won't have to stay with this murderer anymore. Zhang Mingyao lightly nodded. She just wanted to distance herself from Wang Hao, this ticking time bomb. The night, in the gym, a pin drop could be heard. Wang Hao, who had been sleeping, suddenly opened his eyes, grabbing a hand axe, and looking at Xiang Ru, who was sneaking in. She realized she had been exposed and sighed. How can a poor student have such a keen sense of alertness? I held my breath to come closer. You discovered me before I could even get close. Wang Hao sat up and asked, what do you want to express? You are a killer hiding behind a student's identity, or a master descending from the mountains, right? Xiang Ru chuckled. I once encountered martial arts masters with lightness skills when I climbed to remote mountains. Xiang Ru was truly unique. Others kept their distance from Wang Hao, but she was eager to get closer. I don't want to hear your nonsense. Wang Hao said coldly, you can leave. Xiang Ru bent down and entered the tent. Wang Hao raised the axe, resting it against Xiang Ru's fair neck, squinting. You don't think I wouldn't kill a woman, do you? Xiang Ru was not afraid as she laughed. Her body trembled, but it wasn't trembling from fear, it was trembling from excitement, clearly reveling in the thrill of being on the edge of danger. Crazy. Wang Hao had already confirmed that Xiang Ru was the crazy king. This unpredictable, fearless demeanor reminded Wang Hao of his first encounter with the crazy king, where he felt disgusted just by being associated with him even before a fight broke out. Indeed, disgusting. Many people are not afraid of fierce dogs, but they fear mad dogs because mad dogs are unpredictable and attack without rules. Would you kill someone who willingly offers themselves, eh? Xiang Ru wrapped her arms around Wang Hao's neck, her bright eyes sparkling. Or should I say, are you going to be a coward who pushes me away? Wang Hao looked at Xiang Ru's delicate and tender face. Faced with her provocation, he couldn't be bothered to talk back and pushed her down instead. Coward. Xiang Ru was the future crazy king, ranked 7th in combat strength. She was someone Wang Hao had to look up to in his past life. Taking Xiang Ru would cost him nothing but protein, it was a definite gain. Suddenly the people in the gym were startled awake by a loud noise. They looked at the tent in confusion. Xiang. A petite girl looked around and hesitantly asked, where's Xiang Ru? Everyone's pupils trembled. The fact that Xiang Ru was missing from the gathering meant that the woman inside the tent with Wang Hao was indeed Xiang Ru. No, my goddess. How long have Xiang Ru and Wang Hao known each other, and she is already? This scene was too shocking. If heartbreak had a sound, the sound of boys' hearts breaking in the gym might attract zombies from hundreds of meters away. Do women really prefer bad men? A guy with darker skin felt uncomfortable. Last time a rich second generation worth over $1 billion handsome and tall pursued Xiang Ru, and she didn't even look at him. Why was it Wang Hao? Why? Xiang Ru used to act innocent as she never gave any guy a good face. A girl with thick lips and small eyes sneered. So it turns out he's a loser. Li Jinxin looked at the tent feeling sour inside, thinking Xiang Ru comes from a decent background. How could she choose a murderer? Isn't it good to choose me? Even if Wang Hao is powerful, he still has to act himself. I can command others. Isn't that better than him? Isn't it more dignified? If Xiang Ru were to choose a tall, rich, and handsome guy, no one would say anything. But choosing Wang Hao feels like a school beauty ended up with a delinquent. It's self-degradation. Wang Hao was gradually unable to cope. Xiang Ru, clearly a new car, seemed to be trying to conquer Wang Hao in this aspect, acting extremely wildly. Fortunately, Wang Hao was an enhancer. His qualities were high. Otherwise, he might have raised the white flag after just a few exchanges. The next day, Wang Hao woke up looking a bit tired as Xiang Ru, who had been sound asleep a moment ago, also woke up seemingly afraid he would run away. Daddy. Xiang Ru lazily stretched and smiled. You are really impressive. Just call me by my name. Wang Hao took out some food and drinks from his backpack along with some ordinary gear and weapons he had casually collected earlier, assembling a set for Xiang Ru. Although you didn't mention any conditions, I won't treat you poorly either. These should be enough for you to live comfortably for the next 2 to 3 months. Xiang Ru tilted her head and asked, do you think I'm a burden? Do you not want to take me with you? Wang Hao nodded. Although Xiang Ru was the future crazy king and worth investing in, there were too many uncontrollable factors about her, and Wang Hao was not keen on keeping her. I want to follow you, Xiang Ru said frankly. I like adventure, and the reason I took the initiative is that I believe I can gain your acceptance with just a few words. That's unrealistic. You don't have to see me as a burden. I can take care of myself on the road, and if danger arises, I won't call for help, and you don't need to worry about me. Wang Hao opened a bottle of water and said, what if I refuse you? Then you won't be able to leave this tent today, Xiang Ru said as she started to undress. Wang Hao hurriedly shouted for her to stop. He wasn't afraid of Xiang Ru using other means to threaten him, but if she was serious about squeezing him, his kidneys would start to ache. I need to go to the Huimin convenience store shortly, Wang Hao pondered. If you can keep up with me, it's no problem letting you join the team. But if you lag behind, we can still be friends in the future. Xiang Ru confidently smiled. All right, time to eat. Wang Hao opened the tent, went out to wash up briefly, then returned with a bag of bread, eating while looking at his nearly empty backpack. The food is running out. This time going to find the next roulette will be just in time to replenish supplies. Zhang Mingyao, don't you like it? Xiang Ru lifted her chin. Wang Hao looked at Zhang Mingyao, who was holding her phone seemingly waiting for something, and said, who would refuse Zhang Mingyao if she's straightforward? But I don't believe in forcing things. Then she's no different from a corpse. You just need to stay a few more days, Xiang Ru laughed lightly. I can make her take the initiative to find you. Look at that. This is simply the perfect henchman template. Capable of self-care with potential, and doesn't get jealous helping the boss win beautiful women. Wang Hao was about to say something when he suddenly saw Zhang Mingyao stand up and quickly walk towards the gym entrance, followed by a group of 4 men appearing outside, each one strong and bloodstained. Wang Hao was about to say something when he suddenly saw Zhang Mingyao stand up and quickly walk towards the gym entrance, followed by a group of 4 men appearing outside, each one strong and bloodstained. Is Li Zhenqin here? We need to leave now. Li Zhenqin hurriedly replied, I'm here. Director Li and the others slowly approached, and upon hearing the pockmarked man's words, they quickly surrounded him, wanting him to take them along. Since we're all here, one more won't make a difference. How much do you want? Is 200,000 enough? The pockmarked man raised his dagger and said softly, anyone who speaks will bear the consequences. Everyone saw the blood on the dagger and feared to close their mouths. Aqiang Xiaoho, you two are responsible for protecting the target. We. As the pockmarked man spoke, he suddenly heard rustling noises from the right side. His expression changed and he ran to the left while his companions quickly pulled Zhang Mingyao and Li Zhenqin to run, leaving Director Li and the others confused. What's going on? The zombies at the gym entrance have all been dealt with. Why are we running? In the next moment, their question was answered as a fist-sized, entirely black-arranged flat creature crawled out from the right corner, its 2 long antennae swaying like high-frequency signals. Everyone's expression changed drastically. Several of those who reacted quickly rushed back into the gym. The remaining people just about to react saw the flat creature quickly approaching, raising its spiny forelimbs and piercing through a male student's chest. Before he could scream, the creature swiped to the right, tearing open his chest and passing by 3 others, blood spraying into the air like arrows. Off. Those who were unhurt screamed as they ran back into the gym, while those who were harmed groaned, reaching out for help with terror in their eyes. Close the door. Quick, close the door. The people in the gym hurriedly shut the door, but before they could breathe a sigh of relief, a sudden crash of breaking glass came from the upper left, followed by another flat creature crashing down onto a plastic chair, sending shards of glass scattering everywhere. A mutated cockroach. Wang Hao raised an eyebrow. Cockroach refers to the insects that like to swarm. Often encountering one means there's a whole group nearby. The most terrifying part is the multitude of germs they carry. If injured by one, or if a wound comes into contact with them. Without healing agents, it would be an excruciating death. It is worth mentioning that mutated animals are naturally stronger than zombies like tigers, leopards, and bears, and can even fight above their level. The monsters appeared only after the people who saved Zhang Mingyao arrived, or it feels like they lured the monsters here. Xiang Ru frowned and said, she was not wrong. Those who had come into contact with cockroaches would carry their scent, which they would use to track. In the past life, many forces had perished because of this. Looks like we need to leave early. Wang Hao shouldered 2 backpacks and adjusted his axe. At that moment, the cockroach that had crashed into the gym quickly crawled, raising its forelimbs to pierce a female student's back. The others in a panic tried to run outside, but collided with the cockroach that had just killed someone at the door. Don't chase me. Director Li in a panic ran towards Wang Hao and pointed at him in terror. Chase him. He's younger, his meat is much tastier than mine. Quick, chase him. How interesting. Just a second ago, the director was advocating for students to get food, and now he was redirecting the disaster onto Wang Hao. On a hot day like this, why are you running? Let me give you a refreshing experience. Wang Hao stepped forward, grabbed Director Li's face, and flung him out. The cockroach and Wang Hao executed a perfect cooperation. Suddenly lifting its forelimbs, it pierced through Director Li's back. You. Director Li spat blood. With eyes full of anger and hatred, he stared at Wang Hao. The cockroach flung Director Li aside, and seeing that Wang Hao did not flee like the others, charged at him with even greater ferocity. It tried to use its forelimbs to pierce through both him and Xiang Ru. Wang Hao stepped forward, calmly dodging the attacking forelimb of the cockroach, then took a quick step forward and cleaved its head with his axe. Wang Hao noticed a glowing point in the cockroach's head, so he flipped his wrist while retrieving his axe, pulling out a gray crystal from the filthy blood. This was what they called silky. From the kill to the collection of the crystal, it took less than 1 second. Moreover, the data showed that the drop rate of mutated animal crystals was 710 higher than that of zombies, which was naturally favorable for Wang Hao. He walked outside the gym. The cockroach gnawing on a human head at the entrance sensed the pressure and rushed towards him. Wang Hao stepped back slightly, and the cockroach's straight thrust missed the gust of wind created, fluttering his clothes. He stepped on the ground, and at the moment he approached the cockroach, he swung back and cleaved its head. Clean and neat. My God. Xiang Ru watched Wang Hao's graceful figure, feeling that every movement he made was like a performance. It was highly entertaining. It could be said that no action was superfluous. The people in the gym, still in shock, looked at the dead cockroach on the ground, then at Wang Hao, finally understanding why Xiang Ru willingly offered herself. Others were being chased by cockroaches, almost begging them not to kill them. But Wang Hao was hunting them down. Xiang Ru was not discerning. Shameless. Filthy. Hee. Most of those who scolded her were already dead, but she had attached herself to Wang Hao's thigh. In the future, not only would her life be secured, but she would also be free from worries about food and clothing. They lamented, if only they could return to last night, they would do everything possible to curry favor with Wang Hao. Roar, roar, roar. The commotion in the gym attracted quite a few zombies. As Wang Hao rushed forward to slash at the zombies, he caught a glimpse of Xiang Ru running away and thought to himself, this crazy woman. What does she want to do? On the other side, Zhang Mingyao and the others had not managed to escape safely and encountered 2 cockroaches 20 meters away, resulting in 2 casualties. Pressing against the wall, Zhang Mingyao was horrified to see several vicious zombies rushing towards her. Her face turned pale as she exclaimed, "Zombies, zombies are coming. Miss, pray for your own fortune." The pockmarked man and Xiao Ho were engaged in a fierce battle with the cockroaches and couldn't break free. Zhang Mingyao ran towards the gym upon hearing the commotion. A female zombie with half her scalp missing seemed to bear a grudge against her and chased her, while the other zombies surrounded the pockmarked man, making noise. However, she could not outrun the zombies. A zombie lunged fiercely. It tackled Zhang Mingyao. "Ah!" Zhang Mingyao screamed in terror, using her feet to push against the zombie. Out of the corner of her eye, she suddenly spotted Li Jinxin running over in a panic and shouted loudly, "Li Jinxin! Quick, help me pull it off." Li Jinxin ran without looking back. In a life-and-death situation, who still had time to care about Zhang Mingyao? If he coveted her body, he first had to survive. Zhang Mingyao felt a surge of helplessness and despair as she faced a frenzied zombie only 2 centimeters away from her exquisite face, tears of pain streaming from her eyes. Just at that critical moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind the zombie. Xiang Ru. Zhang Mingyuo's beautiful eyes widened. Xiang Ru grabbed the zombie by its waist with both hands and forcefully threw it backwards, causing the zombie to arc through the air before its head crashed heavily onto the ground behind her. She then swiftly pulled Zhang Mingyao and quickly chased after Wang Hao. Zhang Mingyao. Xiang Ru pointed at Wang Hao and said, "Open your eyes and see clearly what it means to be a man." Zhang Mingyao looked at her in confusion. Her heart trembled. Wang Hao was actually slaughtering zombies. He was clearly executing simple moves, yet he could accurately smash open the heads of the zombies. Despite facing a number of zombies several times greater than what Zhang Mingyao and her team encountered, he moved as if unimpeded. Why? The zombies that everyone dreaded, why was it so easy for him to kill them, as if chopping melons or cutting vegetables? "Get away!" Zhang Mingyao suddenly heard a scream and turned to see the pockmarked man and the little monkey being overwhelmed and torn apart by a horde of zombies, blood spraying everywhere. This scene was like a cold bucket of water splashed on Zhang Mingyuo's face. Nothing had changed. The zombies and cockroaches were still as terrifying and fierce as ever. The reason they couldn't stir up any trouble in front of Wang Hao was purely because Wang Hao was too strong. The Mad King saved Zhang Mingyao just because of my words. Wang Hao noticed the two of them, surprised by Xiang Ru's actions, but didn't pay much attention, nor would he accommodate them in his actions, as he carved a bloody path through the horde. He ran into the nearest office building. The nearby zombies were increasing in number due to the screams of the pockmarked man and his group. He wanted to use the same trick again, leaping off the building to shake off the horde. Otherwise, if he got entangled with them, it would be a big trouble. "Big schoolflower, if you want to live, just give it your all." Xiang Ru patted Zhang Mingyuo's shoulder hard and turned to follow Wang Hao. "I don't want to die. I especially don't want to die in an ugly way." Zhang Mingyao gritted her teeth and followed Xiang Ru into the fire escape stairwell. Every time she became exhausted and was about to give up upon seeing the horde rushing into the stairwell, she immediately found strength again. The three of them reached the rooftop on the 6th floor. Wang Hao saw that the distance to the neighboring building's rooftop was only a little over 2 meters, and he directly focused on the edge and jumped with all his might. "No way." Xiang Ru's first thought was to jump too, but upon getting closer and seeing the distance, she quickly hit the brakes, staring in shock at Wang Hao on the opposite rooftop, saying, "What kind of jumping power is this? To jump so far from a standing start, even with wind resistance. The key is that he is also jumping with weight. Unbelievable." The situation was urgent. Xiang Ru didn't have time to be surprised. She retreated back to the rooftop door and turned to see Zhang Mingyuo's pale face and the horde of zombies closely following her. She shouted, "Follow me and run with your head down. If you hesitate at all, you're dead." Zhang Mingyao was already speechless, her mind blank, as she ran wildly after Xiang Ru. Seeing her jump, she jumped too. Suddenly, a strong wind blew. Zhang Mingyao suddenly realized she was in the air with the ground several stories below her. If she fell out, Zhang Mingyao screamed, but thanks to her rune-up and the not-so-far distance, she landed on the opposite rooftop safely. Xiang Ru rolled beautifully upon landing. Roar! Roar! Ordinary zombies had no concept of jumping and chased after Zhang Mingyao, falling off the rooftop like dumplings. Zhang Mingyao was completely dazed. How did I jump over? Who am I? Where am I? How was that? Xiang Ru looked at Wang Hao and smiled, saying, I told you I can manage myself. Have you trained? Wang Hao said with a faint smile. Although the two could keep up, much of it was due to Wang Hao clearing the path in front. They only needed to run, but at this stage many people were crouching and afraid to show themselves, while Xiang Ru dared to encourage the burden and race against the horde. Even, she dared to jump off buildings without a second thought. The most impressive part was that in the end she calmly said to Wang Hao, how was that? One could only say, no wonder it's you, the Mad King. I am a parkour master, Xiang Ru declared confidently. In the parkour circle, no one doesn't know me, Xiang Ru. The test isn't over yet. Wang Hao nodded and said, you don't need to rush to show off. He sat down on the spot and took out a small can of Coke from his backpack. There are too many zombies downstairs right now. Once they disperse, he would look for the next roulette. I will conquer you, Xiang Ru said as she walked toward Zhang Mingyao, took out a piece of gum from her pocket and handed it to her, saying, Big School Flower, wasn't that thrilling just now? Here, this is the only food for now. You should replenish your strength first. Thank you. Zhang Mingyao, feeling dizzy and pale due to hunger, did not refuse Xiang Ru and chewed on the gum, saying, this kind of crazy stuff is really not suitable for me. I hope there won't be a next time. After a pause, she looked at Xiang Ru and said, I don't even count as a friend to you. Why are you willing to risk your life to save me? To please Wang Hao. Xiang Ru spoke candidly. I don't necessarily have to succeed in this matter, but I want him to see that I did it. It's natural to find it hard to accept and understand, but you've also witnessed the cruelty of the current world. People are not as friendly as the news portrays. If you don't choose to rely on the strong, how can someone like you who struggles to carry a bucket of water survive? Wang Hao listened to Xiang Ru's words and scratched his head, unsure whether to call her considerate or insecure. In fact, she didn't need to pimp herself out. Once they passed the test, Wang Hao would naturally train her. Zhang Mingyao fell silent. If Xiang Ru's words had been said yesterday, Zhang Mingyao would have definitely refuted her and scolded her for being shameless. However, after experiencing the life and death speed, just now she understood that what she said was correct. The current world respects strength. If you can't fight, you must die. It's very realistic. No need to rush to make a decision. Xiang Ru smiled and said, we still have to pass his test. If we fail, everything is for naught. Zhang Mingyao nodded, taking the opportunity to rest more. 2 hours later, after some noise dispersed some of the zombies downstairs, Wang Hao saw that it was about time and got up to go downstairs. He did not deliberately wait for the two. Following his own pace, he felt his way to a Huimin convenience store about 600 or 700 meters away, and from a distance he saw the roulette at the very back. His speed was very fast, faster than most people running, especially in a crisis-laden environment, so the two were far behind him, unsure if they were alive or dead on the way. Wang Hao entered the convenience store. At this time there were already 3 people inside scavenging. Upon suddenly seeing him enter, they all looked at him warily. Among them, a beer-belly man in denim shorts stared at his hand axe, a flash of light passing through his eyes. This axe is beautiful. It seems more agile than my fire axe. He dared to go out at this time, probably just like me, willing to kill zombies. If he tried to snatch it, it would be dangerous, but as a young man, he was easy to fool. I can get close to him, find an opportunity, and take him out. Little brother, the man with a beer belly said with a friendly smile, there's plenty to eat here, enough for 10 people to share. Take whatever you want. Wang Hao walked past the 3 and approached the ordinary roulette. The beer belly man, seeing his clear intent, leaned in and asked, do you know what this is for? Wang Hao, too lazy to respond, took out a gray crystal from his bag and tossed it into the slot above the already transformed 1-star roulette start button. The needle spun rapidly. It gradually stopped in a specific area. Mini Generator 1-star uses a crystal core as energy plugs into a socket to generate electricity, providing stable power for up to 300 square meters. Consumes a maximum of 1 gray crystal per night, safe, efficient, and energy saving. This thing is incredibly practical. In a few days, power outages will occur worldwide, and having a generator means I won't have to endure the heat while resting. There should be someone around who can cook. I can still have meals. The beer belly man, feeling ignored by Wang Hao, was in a bad mood. Who dares to give me this kind of treatment when I can go out and fight zombies? Then he saw Wang Hao pick up a palm-sized square black box that had fallen from the bottom of the roulette, as well as the crystal cores in Wang Hao's open backpack. He began to understand that the crystal cores could spin the roulette to obtain rewards. This roulette is something I can't even break with an axe. It must be something extraordinary. If I snatch those small cubes from his bag, I might hit the jackpot. The beer belly man became more and more tempted, exchanging glances with his companion. This wasn't their first time robbing someone. They pretended to be shopping. They moved closer to Wang Hao, reasoning that since the outside world was in chaos, they wouldn't have to worry about getting caught. This world belonged to those brave enough to kill zombies. Wang Hao bumped into them, and it was his misfortune. In this environment, we need to help each other. The beer belly man quietly raised his fire axe as if he could already envision Wang Hao being cleaved in half by his blow, revealing a cruel glint in his eyes as he said, "Don't you agree?" The beer belly man swung the axe down towards Wang Hao. He was still young and didn't take the three of them seriously, allowing the beer belly man to close in. Wasn't that equivalent to walking into a tiger's den where life and death were no longer in his control? But at that moment, Wang Hao raised his hand and caught the fire axe. The beer belly man's malicious grin froze. The two who were about to pounce on Wang Hao were left dumbfounded. Empty, catching a blade with bare hands. Was this a dream? The fire axe could split a zombie's head, yet it was effortlessly caught by Wang Hao with one hand. Your speed, Wang Hao remarked, even a grandmother in a wheelchair could dodge that. With a strong pull, he seized the fire axe and hurled it at one of the two. The beer belly man felt a chill all over. This young man had killed two people in the blink of an eye using. The other person had just begun to react when he saw Wang Hao turn and advance, kicking him out of the shop. Puff! That man hit the ground spitting blood, and despite his flushed face trying to raise his head, he couldn't help but spew another mouthful of blood, collapsing back to the ground lifeless. The beer belly man felt a chill all over. This young man had killed two people in the blink of an eye using methods that defied logic. The beer belly man, seeing Wang Hao's gaze, stammered as he stepped back, "Big brother, give me another chance." The beer belly man, seeing Wang Hao's gaze, stammered as he stepped back, "Big brother, give me another chance. I have a 70-year-old mother at home waiting for me to bring back food." Wang Hao found some rope to bind the beer belly man's hands and feet, saying, "Make a sound, and you die." The beer belly man nodded vigorously, relieved just to be spared. As long as he wasn't killed. Wang Hao had seen many people like the beer belly man who overestimated their ability to kill a few zombies and became arrogant only to end up suffering terrible fates. In the apocalypse, one must maintain a heart of reverence. Wang Hao continued to spin the roulette. Cool boiled water, x5. Fresh fruit basket. Ordinary strengthening potion. 1-star strengthening potion. Ordinary shirt. 1-star adventure backpack appears as an ordinary backpack, contains 10 cubic meters of space, and adding items does not increase weight. Ordinary spiked knuckle. Ordinary strengthening potion. The backpack came just in time. Wang Hao had thought that the space of an ordinary backpack was too small and that he would have to dispose of some items after spinning another roulette later. Now with a 1-star backpack, he had temporarily solved his space issue. He twisted open a bottle of ordinary strengthening potion and downed it in one gulp. The surge of energy instantly coursed through his body, providing a warm and comfortable sensation. Is this the feeling of being fully enhanced? Wang Hao clenched his fist in delight, exclaiming, "This is so damn refreshing." Having consumed 10 bottles of ordinary strengthening potion, he had seemingly reached the base limit of an ordinary enhancer, feeling that his physical condition, senses, and other aspects had far exceeded the range of an ordinary enhancer. With his understanding of 1-star enhancers, he knew he could easily defeat any 1-star enhancer who only had a single bottle of basic enhancement. This was truly terrifying. Being able to fight beyond his level was already frightening. To think he could still dominate. After reaching 1-star, one can change jobs and gain more powerful abilities, but job scrolls are particularly rare. I've spun so many 1-star roulettes, yet not a single scroll has appeared. The chance of encountering higher grade roulettes is much higher. Wang Hao pondered, by the way, I really don't have any information about 1-star job scrolls. In my past life, I exchanged my scrolls with others. I do know a couple of things about 2-star scrolls. This was bothersome. My growth speed is too fast, outpacing the apocalypse's development significantly. Even if there are 1-star monsters now, their numbers are very few, making it impossible for me to freely spin 1-star roulettes. Therefore, searching for 1-star roulettes is meaningless. If I encounter a roulette that has a job scroll, Wang Hao thought about how great it would be to find the rumored crystal core refinery, as that would allow him to exchange low-level crystal cores for high-level ones. However, crystal core refineries are 10 times rarer than job scrolls. In my past life, only a few forces possessed them. Wang Hao wanted to find one, but had no idea where to look. Suddenly, he heard gasping sounds coming from outside, and turned to see Xiang Ru struggling and dirty as she brought Zhang Mengyao over. Had they crawled out of a dumpster or a sewer? They carried a foul stench. Huimin convenience store, Xiang Ru said, putting down Zhang Mengyao with a smile. Xiang Ru was indeed strong, managing to complete Wang Hao's test while carrying a burden. When she decisively jumped off the building, he knew he couldn't put Xiang Ru in a difficult position. It was destined that he would take in the Crazy King. He nodded and said, "From now on you are allowed to follow me, but that doesn't mean you can relax. You still have to rely on yourself. Now let me give you a lesson." With that, Wang Hao tilted his head towards the beer belly man and said, "You go and kill him now." Xiang Ru was momentarily taken aback. Killing someone. Wang Hao, being a reincarnator, could act decisively in killings, but Xiang Ru and the others were still bound by the constraints of order, their minds stuck in a peaceful era where even slapping someone would lead to imprisonment, making it exceedingly difficult for them to contemplate taking a life. It was like Wang Hao's first kill, which tormented him with guilt. Yet this was a necessary lesson for every survivor. Hesitation and mercy would not only endanger oneself, but could also harm one's companions. She will spare you. Wang Hao looked at the man with a beer belly. Then you can live. Please, I beg you, spare my life. The man with the beer belly bowed his head to Xiang Ru, his voice trembling. I have an elderly mother at home, over 70, waiting for me to bring food back. If I die, she will starve too. I swear I will be a good person from now on. If I harm anyone, may I die a terrible death. Zhang Mingjio's face showed compassion. What terrible crime had this man committed to incur such wrath? Could she not spare his life? Xiang Ru merely paused for a moment, then stepped forward to grip the fire axe embedded in the body of the beer-bellied man's companion. One could still see the excitement in her eyes as she struggled to pull out the axe, walking towards the man. Don't kill me. The man with the beer belly, who had exuded confidence and disdain when he first encountered Wang Hao, repeatedly bowed and pleaded, don't kill me. Don't kill me. Xiang Ru trembled as she raised the fire axe with both hands. She struck down decisively. The man's voice ceased abruptly, and a thick yellow-green liquid flowed from his head, leaving Zhang Mingyao in shock, covering her mouth. Xiang Ru laughed silently. She began to strike the already dead, beer-bellied man again and again with the axe. Ugh! Zhang Mingyao felt nauseated by the scene, retching repeatedly, spitting out bitter bile. What kind of family background could produce such a madwoman? Wang Hao knew that the obstacle of killing would not deter the future Mad King, but he did not expect Xiang Ru to pass it so easily. He was curious about what Xiang Ru had been through. This was no longer merely a liking for adventure, but rather a psychological abnormality. Xiang Ru set aside the bloodied fire axe, glanced at the dismembered corpse on the ground. Her eyelids fluttered, and she frowned slightly before casually saying, this axe is not good to use, not smooth at all. Try this. Wang Hao tossed over the newly acquired brass knuckles. They were covered in short metal spikes capable of inflicting wounds while punching an opponent, although they required a certain level of skill to wield. With poor skill, using these brass knuckles, which attacked from an even closer range than the fire axe, would be disadvantageous. Wang Hao actually had other weapons on hand, but he chose to give her the brass knuckles because in his past life the Mad King had used similar weapons. Xiang Ru donned the brass knuckles, striking with a fierce stance a few times, then proceeded to pummel the beer-bellied man a few times. Looking at the gruesome wounds, she remarked, this weapon suits me. It feels great to use. I understand you, Wang Hao smiled. Xiang Ru smiled back. This man was quite strange, giving her a feeling as if he knew her somehow. If you feel like vomiting, just let it out. There's nothing shameful about it. Wang Hao noticed the subtle expression on Xiang Ru's face earlier and tossed her a bottle of ordinary strengthening potion. You smell terrible. Take a bath, eat something, and then drink this potion. I don't want to vomit. Xiang Ru's constantly rolling throat betrayed her stubbornness, though it was understandable after recalling her excited actions. She would definitely feel like vomiting. After all, not everyone was like Wang Hao, a seasoned survivor in this apocalypse. After vomiting and sweating cold, Zhang Mingyao noticed that Wang Hao hadn't mentioned her at all. She speculated that he was different from other men, not treating her like a lapdog just because of her appearance, so she spoke up. I also want to be with you. Xiang Ru has already demonstrated her value. Wang Hao replied nonchalantly, what about you? Zhang Mingyao seemed well prepared and said directly, I see you seem to be looking for a roulette. I know the location of one. How so? Wang Hao asked, surprised. Whether you went to the gym or came here, your purpose is quite clear, which is why I guessed you were looking for a roulette. Looking at the roulette behind Wang Hao, Zhang Mingyao said, the roulette I know is different from these. Different? Wang Hao raised an eyebrow. He initially thought Zhang Mingyao would adhere to the script provided by Xiang Ru, using herself as a bargaining chip, but he was surprised to find that the campus beauty was a logical thinker. She deduced Wang Hao's needs through observation and offered him the right solution. Xiang Ru was also quite surprised that Zhang Mingyao would skip the script she provided. This is something I saw in my family's group chat. Zhang Mingyao took out her phone, opened a photo, and showed it to Wang Hao, saying, the location of the roulette is in Xiangyu Garden, my family's villa, about 2 kilometers from here. Wang Hao's eyes widened. The frame of the roulette was gray, indicating it was an ordinary roulette, but what was different was the addition of a question mark among the rewards. Random rewards. Indeed, the question mark represented the random reward of the Lucky Empress ring. This reward might be due to a certain chance of yielding good items rare enough that Wang Hao had never encountered it in his past life. Now that the Mad King is my ally, every bit of her strength is an added boon for me. Even if I go to Zhang Mingjio's home and don't get anything great, I can still obtain a few bottles of potions to lay a foundation for her. It's only 2 kilometers anyway. Not too far. With this in mind, Wang Hao spoke up, since the roulette is at your house, why not just head home instead of following me? The situation is quite complicated. According to the information I saw in my family group, my home may have been taken over by strangers, Zhang Mingyao said helplessly. I'm not looking to exchange anything for the roulette's location. Once you see the roulette, whether you leave me behind or take me with you, I can accept any decision you make. The initiative is always in your hands. A wise woman advancing by retreating. As for the strangers, she mentioned Wang Hao didn't pay much attention, as with his strength, he could still modestly declare invincible, even at this stage. Even if the opponent wielded firearms, he wouldn't be flustered. Wang Hao nodded, saying, "You only have 20 minutes of break time. As I said before, if you want to survive, rely on yourselves." Zhang Mingyao and Xiang Ru were both starving, disregarding their goddess image, grabbing food from the shelves with both hands. Wang Hao counted the crystal nuclei on hand. Still 17 gray crystals left. He initially intended to spin the store's ordinary roulette, but upon discovering the random reward, he realized he couldn't spin it yet and needed to save up the crystal nuclei. Given the roulette's nature, the rarer the reward, the lower the chance of obtaining it. A dozen crystal nuclei might not be sufficient to spin for a random reward. Wang Hao silently contemplated, "I should gather more crystal nuclei on my way to Xiangyu Garden, preparing for the eventual splurge on random rewards." He took out the fruit basket he had just acquired, peeling an orange to eat. So sweet. Being able to eat fresh fruit at this moment was truly a blissful experience. Zhang Mingyao and Xiang Ru, having eaten their fill, grabbed some bottled water and basic sachets of shampoo and shower gel from a small shop for their bath. However, Zhang Mingyao avoided washing in front of Wang Hao, while the wild Xiang Ru not only washed in front of him, she even beckoned him with her finger. Good grief. Provoking Wang Hao, he nonchalantly ate an orange. Hey, it wasn't that he was cowardly, it was just that Xiang Ru was too fierce. Once she got started, there would be no way for him to leave today. Suddenly, 3 zombies, attracted by the sound of water, charged in from outside. The 2 quickly stopped. Wang Hao took the opportunity to teach, saying the weakness of zombies is their brains. As long as you ensure your own safety, just aim for their heads. With that, he walked to the door, raised his axe, and swiftly dispatched the 3 zombies. The drop rate was quite good. 2 spirit cores emerged from the 3 zombies. When Wang Hao turned around and inadvertently caught sight of Zhang Mingyao, it was as if he had been dazzled by a flashbang. All he could think was so fair. Zhang Mingyao suddenly realized Wang Hao was looking at her. She quickly crossed her arms, her face instantly flushed. Wang Hao averted his gaze, opened his starry backpack, and first dumped the supplies from his original computer bag into the new backpack. Before he arrived, the others had already filled their bags with supplies, and the 10 cubic meters of space was completely full. Even if the 3 of them ate freely, the amount in the backpack was enough to last half a month. Is your strength so great because you took this bottle of potion? Xiang Ru finished washing and drank the potion, feeling her surging strength, and exclaimed, "I feel like I can punch." That's an illusion, Wang Hao chuckled. You're currently equivalent to 2 big men. You're not quite at the level of punching a cow to death yet, but that's still quite strong. Xiang Ru was eager to try, saying, "I'm full of energy now. We can set off at any time. No rush, it's important to balance work and rest." Wang Hao, while washing an apple and taking a bite, said, "You also saw me collecting the little squares from the zombies' brains, which are called spirit cores. Not every zombie has them, it depends on luck. Keep an eye out while you're killing zombies." Xiang Ru gave an okay gesture. Then she put on her boxing gloves and punched to adapt to her newfound strength. 13 minutes later, after taking a short break, the 3 left the small shop and coincidentally encountered a male zombie with a mangled jaw approaching. Xiang Ru didn't even need Wang Hao to call her. With a quick step, she punched the zombie in the left eye, and the short spikes on her gloves instantly shattered its eyeball. It howled and flew back for half a meter. Zhang Mingyao was taken aback. 1 bottle of potion had such great power. Due to years of training, Xiang Ru's physical fitness was already a few notches above that of an average man. Normally, she could at most repel or knock down a zombie, but after drinking the potion, she was actually able to punch a zombie away. If only I had a bottle of that potion too. At least I could protect myself. Zhang Mingyao felt envious. Unfortunately, only Wang Hao had the ability to distribute potions, and he wasn't the type to casually hand them out. Wanting a bottle of potion was truly not an easy task. Xiang Ru, who had been avoiding the zombies and felt quite frustrated, was now particularly excited to have power. She chased after the zombie, punching its head again and again until she smashed its skull, then searched through the blood with her bare hands. TCH. No spirit core. Xiang Ru pouted. She took the initiative to find zombies to kill. She was skilled in combat, and with her enhanced physical qualities, she was incredibly fierce, either body, slamming the zombie to the ground to finish it off, or dodging the zombie's claw strikes. She kept delivering punches to the zombie's head. "Brother, how are you sure you—" Xiang Ru questioned. "I killed 7 zombies, and I haven't seen a single spirit core." "It all depends on luck," Wang Hao laughed. "When it's bad, you can kill over 10 without seeing 1 spirit core. That's just basic luck. But when it's good, the spirit core drop rate is 100%. After saying this, he stepped forward, swung his axe, and split the approaching zombie in half, then waggled the axe blade in its head, suddenly hitting something hard and pulling it out. "Oh, I seem to be having a bit of luck." Wang Hao retrieved his hand axe, extended his hand to pinch the gray spirit core, flying in a parabolic arc, and spun it in front of Xiang Ru, skillfully maneuvering it between his fingers, raising an eyebrow and saying, "I just killed one zombie and got a spirit core. I'd rather believe I was just your stepping stone. I really don't believe I'm that unlucky." Xiang Ru, unwilling to back down, walked into a residential building and began a slaughter with zombies having their heads smashed, rolling down the stairs one by one. Gradually, she began to feel convinced. After killing 30 or 40 zombies, she only obtained 3 gray spirit cores, while Wang Hao averaged 1 spirit core for every 3 zombies he killed. She felt a bit disheartened. Can luck really differ so much between people? Xiang Ru was indeed unlucky. She averaged killing over 10 zombies for just 1 spirit core. However, the greater reason was that Wang Hao had a buff that doubled the spirit core drop rate. Competing with him for spirit cores was purely self-inflicted misery. The two walked and killed as they went. By the time they arrived at Shanyu Garden at 17-1, Wang Hao's backpack was already full, and he had accumulated over 100 gray spirit cores. Shanyu Garden was one of the most upscale villa areas in the city, grand in layout, beautifully landscaped, and exuding an air of luxury. Nearby were high-quality amenities. Poor people probably never had the chance to pass through this area. Even with the outbreak of the disaster, there were few zombies in the garden and surrounding areas, providing a decent, easy start for the wealthy in this apocalypse. Lead the way. After Wang Hao finished speaking, Zhang Mingyao stepped forward, guiding Wang Hao and the others to her home, encountering many zombie corpses with gaping holes in their heads along the way. It seemed that someone had discovered the correct way to open the wheel. 7 minutes later, the three stopped in front of a standalone villa with a yard of over 100 square meters. Wang Hao noticed a shadow flashing past the second-floor window of the villa and suddenly remembered Zhang Mingyao mentioning an unfamiliar person earlier. 7 minutes later, the three stopped in front of a standalone villa with a yard of over 100 square meters. Wang Hao noticed a shadow flashing past the second-floor window of the person who answered the doorbell seemed hesitant. After Zhang Mingyao repeated herself, a gentle female voice came through the doorbell, as if realizing something. "Mingyao, you're still alive, that's great. Come in quickly, remember to close the door and be careful of those monsters." With that, the iron gate clicked open. "That's my second aunt's voice." Zhang Mingyao frowned and said, "But my second aunt is an executive. She's usually calm and composed in emergencies. But why does she sound a bit anxious?" Wang Hao said with a hint of meaning, "What do you think we should do?" Zhang Mingyao was surprised that Wang Hao would ask her. After thinking for a few seconds, she said, "Didn't we see many zombie corpses on the way? Perhaps they were killed by the unfamiliar person who entered my house. I think we should be cautious. I'll go scout ahead. If things go wrong, you'll have space to run." This is the power of genes. Zhang Mingyio's family is engaged in business, surrounded by high-level individuals, which has shaped her unique way of thinking. Yes, cautious, yet possessing a broad vision. A good candidate for leadership. However, Wang Hao, combining Zhang Mingyio's analysis with his own observations, could roughly guess the situation inside the villa. With his strength, there was no need for caution. He could just charge in. He said little more, striding directly into the courtyard, but as he neared the villa, he suddenly heard a faint sound. He raised his hand, signaling to Xiang Ru and Zhang Mingyao to stop. On the other side, behind the villa's door, 2 men stood in a half-arc holding handguns and automatic rifles, aiming at the man at the entrance, along with 3 others wielding machetes and a robust man standing behind them. His name is Chen Daji. He used to be a security guard in the garden. After the disaster erupted, he quickly solidified his position, with several colleagues daring to kill zombies the very next day. Once experienced, he rushed straight to the Zhang family, having coveted Zhang Mingyao for many years, fantasizing about her every night. Zhang Mingyao was stunningly beautiful, with a good background and exceptional temperament. Every time she returned home, Chen Daji would gaze longingly at her car, dreaming of possessing her. Even to lure Zhang Mingyao back, he did not harm her family. "I earn 6,000 a month. What right do I have to deserve someone like Zhang Mingyao?" Chen Daji seemed to envision the moment he could have Zhang Mingyao, a smile spreading across his face, filled with excitement. "The apocalypse suits me perfectly. I have now gained power from the roulette. From now on, I can have whatever I want." Chen Daji was also a ruthless man. Upon hearing from a companion on the second floor who was observing the surroundings that Zhang Mingyao had brought back 2 seemingly formidable strangers, he decisively arranged for all his companions to give the highest level of welcome to the 3. Chen Daji understood. At this moment, those daring to go out had some skills. He was not foolish enough to let Wang Hao know persuading him to leave would be troublesome, so he resolved to intimidate Zhang Mingyao by threatening Wang Hao's life. To make Zhang Mingyao understand that only by obediently submitting to Chen Daji could she survive. Zhang Mingyio's family stood in the corner of the living room with her second aunt, feeling anxious secretly, hoping that Mingyao would notice something was amiss and not return, for if she did, hell awaited her. These people were heartless. They not only killed zombies, but also many of the family members. Chen Daji suddenly felt something was wrong. Did it really take Zhang Mingyao this long to walk from the door to the villa? Zhang, take a look at the window. Before Chen Daji could finish his sentence, the living room window suddenly shattered. Xiang Ru braved the flying shards of glass advancing towards Chun Daji's subordinates, laughing maniacally surprised. Following that, Xiang Ru swung her fist clad in knuckle dusters, striking one of the armed men in the eye. Blood flowed from beneath her fist, turning his eye into a bloody hole. Oh! As the man screamed in agony, Xiang Ru brutally twisted his arm, causing him to drop his gun due to the intense pain. Xiang Ru punched the man away. A companion wielding a rifle watched as the man fell to the ground lifeless at his feet, shock coursing through him. In that moment, his reaction speed reached its peak as he raised his gun, aiming it at Xiang Ru. The two were more than a meter apart. At this distance, firing would be quick and precise. Even for Xiang Ru, a strengthened individual of exceptional quality, it was impossible to outpace a bullet. She was doomed. At that critical moment, the villa's main door was suddenly kicked open, and Wang Hao surged through like an arrow, closing in on the armed man. With a swift motion, the axe fell. The armed man's reaction was too slow. From the top of his head to his chest, the axe blade smoothly cleaved open, spraying a copious amount of blood into the air. Xiang Ru was unperturbed. She lunged at the three men wielding machetes. They were not enhanced individuals and quickly fell at Xiang Ru's feet. Everything happened too quickly. From Xiang Ru breaking the window to Chun Daji's companions, all perishing, only 2 or 3 seconds had passed. Chun Daji's eyes trembled. He could not understand how Wang Hao and Xiang Ru managed to take the initiative. They clearly had not exposed Zhang Minjiu's second aunt, and the others looked terrified. They were so frightened that they felt like gagging. They had thought Chun Daji and his group were ruthless enough, but unexpectedly 2 even fiercer individuals had arrived, and in the time it took to drink tea, only Chun Daji remained, moving so quickly that they were just beginning to comprehend what had just occurred. I am also a strengthened individual. Chun Daji pulled out a handgun from behind his waist and directly shot at Wang Hao, declaring, my reactions are much faster than theirs. This gunshot was quick and decisive, not giving anyone a chance to react. Given the close distance between them, there was no need for any foundation or marksmanship. Simply knowing how to fire would suffice to hit Wang Hao. Xiang Ru realized that despite her superior vision compared to ordinary people, she could not see the bullet clearly, let alone respond to it. She understood that if she were in Wang Hao's position, she would be shot by the bullet in the instant of reaction. What does this mean? It means that in front of firearms, strengthened individuals and ordinary people are equal. Wang Hao? Xiang Ru's eyes lit up. Rather than worrying about Wang Hao, she was filled with anticipation. Can you dodge this bullet? Firearms are indeed lethal to ordinary strengthened individuals. Unfortunately, Wang Hao is not an ordinary strengthened individual. He is fully equipped and possesses combat power that surpasses 1-star ordinary strengthened individuals. To him, the bullet seemed to move at 4 times slower speed. Oh! Wang Hao's gaze was piercing, and just as the bullet was about to hit him, he swung his axe, cleaving through the bullet. The bullet split in 2, falling to the ground with a loud clatter, which was particularly jarring. Wang Hao stepped forward, approaching Chun Daji, and calmly said, so what? Chun Daji's scalp tingled. As a strengthened individual, he did not even know that such a miraculous feat of splitting a bullet in midair was possible. Wang Hao was a monster. A monster? Why would Wang Hao need to dodge? When the bullet comes, he can just split it. Xiang Ru's excitement made her lose composure. This man was extremely handsome. Wang Hao swung the axe, cleaving Chun Daji's head, then took a few steps back to avoid the splattering blood from dirtying his clothes. Second aunt. Zhang Mingyao rushed in, embracing Qin, Lian, her eyes red, as she said, I'm so glad you're... Then she hugged her familiar relatives, and the younger ones couldn't hold back their tears. Where are my dad and mom? Zhang Mingyao hurriedly asked, and my grandfather. When the incident occurred, your dad, mom, grandfather, and your third uncle were all in one room discussing matters. While they were talking, your grandfather suddenly turned into a monster and bit your dad. By the time the bodyguards from our villa rescued us from the adjacent villa, everyone had turned into monsters. They died. Qin Lian said bitterly after seeing the corpses of Chun Daji and others. After that, they broke in. The household guards and maids all perished at their hands. Wang Hao ascended the stairs. In a guest room on the 3rd floor, he spotted the roulette. However, the question mark he had seen in Zhang Minjiu's phone photo was nowhere to be found, causing him to frown as he realized he had searched. Wang Hao ascended the stairs. In a guest room on the 3rd floor, he spotted the roulette. However, the question mark he had seen in Zhang Minjiu's phone photo was nowhere to be found, causing him to frown as he realized he had searched layer by layer. If there were another roulette, he would have encountered it long ago. The question mark. Where did it go? Could it have vanished? The rumors from his past life regarding random rewards stated that the question mark belonged to a one-time reward and would disappear from the roulette once it was turned. It never mentioned that the question mark could also disappear after a period. Wait a minute. A one-time reward. Wang Hao exclaimed, damn. The fool I killed had such good luck turning to a random reward with just a few dozen crystal cores. Not everyone is like Wang Hao. He could randomly kill zombies, and the crystal core drop rate was high. For a team the size of Chun Daji's, being able to obtain a few dozen crystal cores in this time would be impressive, though in reality, it might even be less. He managed to get the best reward at the lowest cost. His luck was genuinely extraordinary. So, what did Chun Daji randomly obtain? Wang Hao turned and headed downstairs, anxiously searching Chun Daji's entire body. Wang Hao's mood was understandably uneasy. Encountering the first random reward of his past and present lives, if it turned out to be common firearms or cold weapons, those worthless items, he would really be spitting blood. Xiangru looked at him with a strange expression, saying, "You have this peculiar hobby too." "Enough chatter," Wang Hao called out. "Help me search the other corpses. See if there's anything special." Xiangru carefully searched Chun Daji's companions, then shrugged and said, "There was a person who was only 2 centimeters. This is rather unusual. He would really be spitting blood." Xiangru looked at him with a strange expression, saying, "You have this peculiar hobby too." "Enough chatter," Wang Hao called out. "Help me search." Wang Hao's eyes flickered as he suddenly remembered something. He looked at Qin Lian and the others and asked, "Did they have backpacks?" "Yes." Qin Lian replied without hesitation, "I saw that each of them had a backpack." Wang Hao recalled the large bags he had encountered while searching the roulette upstairs and quickly rushed to the second floor's guest room to open the backpacks. Soon all the backpacks were opened. Aside from one backpack containing an object resembling a sitting panda, the rest were filled with food and drink. He pulled out the object. Seeing the bamboo held by the panda inscribed with a few lines of small text, "Crystal Core Refining Device. When in use, please follow the refining ratio. Place the crystal core in front of the panda and wait a few seconds to obtain the corresponding result." Wang Hao exclaimed 3 times in disbelief. He was so excited that he nearly jumped up. Chun Daji had prepared an astonishing gift for him, a crystal core refining device. He had previously worried that his growth was outpacing the development speed of the apocalypse, leading to a mismatch in crystal core levels and making it impossible to turn a roulette above 1 star, wasting the information he had about several roulettes in this area. Unexpectedly, he had received the rumored crystal core refining device. Its rarity was comparable to the honor medal that only an emperor could possess. In his previous life, the 17th ranked power among the top 30 forces survivor paradise used it to profit from price differences, establishing a massively influential force. However, this was not the greatest benefit the refining device brought to Wang Hao, at least not at this moment. Having the refining device meant he could now turn roulettes that he previously could not, gaining powers that would only appear in the future. The refining device was incredibly rare. To rely on random rewards for a windfall was simply unbelievable. If it were me, based on my previous luck with turning potions, I definitely wouldn't have gotten it. That guy must have used up all his luck in his lifetime. Wang Hao's smile split his face. I thank his ancestors for 8 generations. His mood was now from hell to heaven. He initially thought Chun Daji had wasted the question mark, but it turned out that this question mark was meant for Chun Daji to turn. If Chun Daji had knowledge in the afterlife about the value of the refining device, he would probably die of grief. The refining device I risked my life for ended up being a bridal gown for Wang Hao. How strange. Even if he didn't know the value of the refining device, with his strength, he wouldn't die in the short term. Eventually, he would naturally realize what a treasure he had obtained. But why have I never heard of him before? Using the refining device to establish a force would be quite easy. Wang Hao pondered. Could it be that he encountered some unexpected event along the way? This question at present no one could answer. He opened a 1-star backpack, took out some food, placed it into the refining device, and then stepped outside. Standing at the railing, he looked down at Xiangru and said, "Go dig a hole in the courtyard outside and bury these corpses." Xiangru showed a look of surprise. When did Wang Hao become so merciful? Not only did he kill, but he also buried them. You've done another good deed. Good people are indeed rewarded. Wang Hao returned to the ordinary roulette, looking at the prompt on the start button that read Gray Crystal X6. He reached out to upgrade the roulette. He had accumulated a backpack full of gray crystals. Originally planning to turn the question mark, but now it was unusable. He threw crystal cores into the 1-star roulette. Ordinary steel knife. 1-star wind sneakers, men's version, strengthened on the basis of ordinary shoes, effectively increasing speed and jumping ability. 1-star rice ball X2, for enhancers below 3 stars, eating 1 rice ball can sustain for ordinary jeans. Ordinary strengthening potion. 1-star strengthening potion. Ordinary strengthening potion. Antidote, drinking it can eliminate any poison below 2 stars, effectively alleviating poisons above 2 stars and below 5 stars. Ordinary steel gun. Ordinary handgun. A total of 55 gray crystals were consumed. The luck was decent. The medicinal liquid instantly transformed into a warm current, washing over Wang Hao's limbs and bones. Compared to the previous comfort of drinking the elixir, this time was particularly painful, as if a giant wooden mallet was continuously striking every cell in his body, causing him to clench his fists tightly. This was an experience he had gone through once before. He was mentally prepared. For others, they would have already been screaming in agony, kneeling and pounding the ground, or even fainting from the pain. It must be noted that this kind of pain is equivalent to someone breaking your bones inch by inch. Wang Hao gritted his teeth and endured the repeated impacts of the medicinal liquid, and after 3 minutes, a feeling of relaxation akin to finishing a sauna washed over him. He couldn't help but let out a sound of ugh. Wang Hao felt the changes within him and exclaimed in surprise, with a full foundation establishment, my power is several times stronger than when I advanced to 1 star in my previous life with a single bottle of foundation elixir. Those who don't know might think I am at 2 stars. Every time one advances a star, it is a breakthrough of the human limits. Pain is inevitable. Rising to the next star is quite simple. One just needs to drink the corresponding level of elixir. For instance, to advance from 1 star to 2 stars, one must drink a bottle of 2-star enhancement elixir, and so forth. However, this is the most rudimentary path. The food chain of enhancers is divided into 4 tiers. The first tier is high foundation powerful profession. The second tier is high foundation ordinary profession. The third tier is average foundation profession. The fourth tier is average foundation no profession. The food chain determines the outcome. As for skills and equipment, unless one is significantly superior to the opponent or even crushes them, they have little impact. In fact, there is an even more formidable path. The strongest among humans, the Emperor, one of the 4 sovereigns, walks the path of high foundation, powerful profession, glory medal. The key is the glory medal. The Emperor relies on this to crush the 4 sovereigns. Unfortunately, Wang Hao was unaware of the details regarding the glory medal, or rather, in his past life, not much critical information was circulated. After all, no strong individual has the leisure to go around sharing their affairs. It is not only unbeneficial, but also appears quite foolish. The few explosive pieces of information were all accidentally leaked by former companions or classmates of the individuals involved. Wang Hao looked at the wall. His hand curled into a claw, chipping away at a piece of cement. Then he kneaded it like a wad of paper as grains of sand fell from his fingers. The power after advancing a star was simply terrifying. Others who saw him would surely think he was a monster and keep their distance. Wang Hao continued to consume the other 3 bottles of 1-star enhancement elixirs, his qualities skyrocketing. Once more now, he had 4 bottles of 1-star foundation. Let alone encountering 1-star monsters. Even 2-star. He could kill them with ease. I initially planned to fully establish my foundation before heading to City Z, but now that I have the refining device, I must first convert the 1-star roulette of this area. I know otherwise once I leave City H the information I possess will diminish. Wang Hao had spent a long time in City H in his past life and knew a lot of things that could be monetized. It would be best to convert as much as possible. Suddenly he thought of his close friends and a few female confidants. They rarely mentioned their past affairs, making it so that now, when Wang Hao wanted to find them, he didn't know where to look. Forget it. Not having encountered them means fate has not yet arrived. Wang Hao went downstairs. By this time, Zhang Mingyao and the others had finished crying, their eyes red and swollen. Suddenly seeing Wang Hao come down, aside from Zhang Mingyao, the others displayed fearful, intense expressions, shrinking behind her. It must be said that the Zhang family's genes are powerful. A whole family of beauties. The older ones are mature and charming, while the younger ones are pure and pleasing to the eye. Even the least attractive among them scores above 8. Brother Hao. Zhang Mingyao addressed Wang Hao, then looked at Qin Lian and said, "This is my second aunt." Following that, she gestured to a demure girl beside her wearing round glasses, saying, "This is my cousin, named Zhang Yeshu." After introducing the 5 people present, Zhang Mingyao then introduced Wang Hao to them. "This is Wang Hao, my classmate." The 5 of them were stunned. "Classmate? Does Wang Hao's brutal slaughter of Chen Daji and the others seem like a student's behavior? They would rather believe he was a notorious criminal." The 5 of them believed it more. Wang Hao did not see Xiangru sitting on the sofa and asking, "Has Xiangru not returned yet?" "She just told me she want to play at killing zombies." That crazy woman. It seems she has developed a liking for killing. Wang Hao noticed Zhang Mingyao hesitating to speak. He understood and said, "You all can follow me, but I don't support those who eat without working. You need to contribute to exchange for what you want. Discuss it well before responding." Wang Hao now needed manpower. Otherwise, based on the refining ratio of 30 gray crystals to 1 green crystal, relying on himself alone, he could only rotate the roulette a few times, and it would take a long time. Although the crystal explosion rate of ordinary people is not as good as Wang Hao, spreading the effort across many would yield a greater return than if he worked alone. Additionally, the cultivation cost would be lower. Killing zombies requires overcoming fear. One doesn't need particularly good physical fitness or skills. If he could offer a bottle of the common enhancement elixir that would soon be everywhere as a reward, it would motivate them to perform actively. In fact, there is an even better method for farming crystals at this stage, which involves the AoE damage zombie clearing artifact. In his past life, many factions used it to clear vast areas feasting on crystals. However, the probability of obtaining the zombie clearing artifact is quite low. One cannot rely solely on this path. Right now, Wang Hao just wants to cultivate a group of subordinates, as they will surely find their use later. Zhang Mingyao exchanged glances with Qin Lian, delighted. They had actually discussed it before Wang Hao came downstairs, wanting to follow him, worried that he might not accept them. A few pampered weak girls were unsure of what to do next, so they thought. Learning to kill zombies is not scary. What is truly frightening is if Wang Hao doesn't even give them a chance. We have thought it through, Zhang Mingyao said earnestly. From now on you will lead them. Wang Hao unscrewed a bottle of Bao Quangli and took a few sips, saying, let me make it clear from the start you will need to unconditionally obey my orders, without any other thoughts, including compassion. Compassion. Otherwise I will make you experience what it means to be merciful to others is to be cruel to oneself. The few of them felt a chill in their hearts. As Wang Hao spoke, his deep and cold gaze coupled with the thought of his ruthlessness made them dare not forget his words. My second aunt is the general manager of the group. She is more suited to lead us than I am. Zhang Mingyio's words had not yet finished when she was interrupted by Wang Hao. He looked up at her and said, are you teaching me how to do things? Instead of nurturing an old hand, Wang Hao would rather cultivate a blank slate. Zhang Mingyio's face turned pale, saying no. Tomorrow I will ask Xiang Ru to take you all on the path. Wang Hao took out ordinary weapons such as steel knives, daggers, and steel guns that he had previously accumulated, saying, choose your preferred weapons. It would be best to practice simple actions like swinging, chopping, and stabbing tonight. Several girls nodded in confusion. Zhang Mingyao had laid the groundwork. Accepting it in her heart was one thing, but actually doing it was another. From being well-fed and well-dressed, not lifting a finger, to having to personally wield a weapon and face the terrifying bloodthirsty zombies, this disparity was hard to accept. Especially for Qin Lian. As the general manager of a corporation managing tens of thousands of employees, and with a net worth in the 9 figures, she was capable and mature. Her looks and figure could easily score a 9. At 2 points, if she were a decade younger, she would fit perfectly into the archetype of a female CEO in urban novels. Now, however, she had become a subordinate of a student. In the past, if someone had said this, no one would have dared to believe it. Wang Hao took out the remaining fruits and 2 boxes of self-heating hot pot and placed them on the table, looking at the others and asking, who among you can cook? Everyone shook their heads. In wealthy families there are maids. They had hardly ever set foot in the kitchen. Can't even boil noodles. Seeing them shake their heads again, Wang Hao leaned back against the sofa and said, wash the fruits with mineral water, then follow the instructions. Prepare the self-heating hot pot. Got it. He had initially intended to use the hot pot as a base and add noodles, but now he had to settle for a simpler option, saving himself the effort. The group quickly divided the tasks. Some washed the fruits, others studied the instructions, and some found scissors to prepare the hot pot ingredients. Before long, Zhang Yeshu handed him a snake fruit. He took it and bit down hard, watching the rich daughters bustling around him, enjoying the moment, while also relishing the sight. In his past life, he had endured hardships. Finally able to relax, a meteor fell. Damn it. Now that he had some leisure, he naturally wanted to unwind. How good. Zhang Yeshu adjusted her glasses nervously and said, my mom has shoulder periarthritis, and I've learned a massage technique. Do you think I should help you with a few presses? Wang Hao nodded and asked, are you still in school? I'm studying at Tsinghua University. I recently participated in a national competition and stopped by home on the way. Zhang Yeshu began to massage Wang Hao's shoulders. Tsinghua University is a top-tier institution. Countless parents dream of their children getting accepted there. It's one thing for the girl to be pretty. Unexpectedly, she was also an academic powerhouse. My level is just ordinary for a first-year university. I can't get into Tsinghua, but I can attend Tsinghua students. Wang Hao gradually closed his eyes. The girl's technique was quite something. It felt great. Meanwhile, a group of over a dozen people armed with various cold weapons sneaked into the night-shrouded Shanyu garden, coincidentally encountering a beautifully slender woman with snow-white skin who jumped up and punched a zombie hard to the ground. As the zombie, filled with ferocity, attempted to rise, it was met with the woman's flurry of punches, its head crushed to a pulp, blood splattering everywhere. Damn, this woman is fierce. I actually have no thoughts about such an exceptional woman. The group skilled in killing zombies included several enhancers, yet they had never seen someone so fierce. Moreover, she was a woman. When they saw Xiang Ru, they felt as if they were being watched by a beast, instinctively growing cautious and unable to relax. My name is Sun Yan. Sun Yan, with a sturdy build and crew cut adorned in camouflage pants, approached Xiang Ru and said, we are the survivors' paradise, each of us an elite. Are you interested in joining us? Not interested. You all feel pitifully weak compared to my man. After saying this, Xiang Ru walked past Sun Yan. This statement was heard by everyone. It was quite jarring. Pitifully weak. I really want her to experience my power. She probably hasn't seen many strong people. Our Yenge has taken a few bottles of potions and is acting tough now. Who can beat Yenge? If she encounters her man, Yenge will definitely beat him to a pulp. Sun Yan didn't pay too much attention to Xiang Ru and called out, all right, let's find a place to spend the night. We need to collect crystal cores tomorrow. Take advantage of the fact that not many people have discovered the function of the roulette yet. Let's spin the roulette a few more times. The group nodded and then moved away from Wang Hao's direction. Since Xiang Ru couldn't find any zombies in the garden, she went out to hunt busy until midnight before slowly returning to their abode. That's why they say she's crazy. Others, due to limited visibility, are prone to encounter monsters that prefer to move at night, and after nightfall, they will find a place to rest. But she had no such concerns. Once she was up, she would charge out and chase down zombies to kill. Xiang Ru went up to the master bedroom on the second floor. Gently pushing the door open, she looked at Wang Hao lying on the new sheets, her gaze gradually warming, and hurried into the bathroom to wash off the blood on her body, changing into a dark green silk spaghetti strap nightgown she had picked up on the way. After coming out, Xiang Ru slipped into Wang Hao's bed like a mermaid. He had already woken up when Xiang Ru went upstairs smelling the pleasant fragrance of her shower gel and said, "Tomorrow you teach Zhang Mingyao and the others how to kill zombies. Don't kill them. I still need them to earn crystal cores for me. I just brought you back over a dozen crystal cores." Xiang Ru traced circles on Wang Hao's chest with her finger and said, "So what about it? Behave yourself." Wang Hao said in a deep voice, "I'll chop your hand off. Sorry, I made a mistake. Please, you must punish me severely." Xiang Ru said the scene was too violent. The following is omitted for 4,000 words. The next day, Wang Hao, looking slightly fatigued, set out with Zhang Mingyao and the others, preparing to go to a KTV a few kilometers away to look for a roulette. Their faces were somewhat tense. Even Qin Lian, who had seen a lot, was equally nervous. After all, the madness of zombies was evident. Their combat ability was much fiercer than that of an ordinary strong man, and a slight misstep could lead to disaster. As Wang Hao stepped out of the garden, he encountered a few zombies wandering on the road. Approaching with an axe, he swiftly cleaved their skulls one by one. His movements were quick. The zombies didn't even notice someone approaching until the moment they died. He extracted the crystal cores from the heads of the zombies and headed towards the 10 o'clock direction, along the way striking down 3 more zombies. He soon vanished from Xiang Ru and the others' view. Zhang Mingyao was accustomed to witnessing Wang Hao slaughtering zombies and felt nothing unusual, but for Qin Lian and Zhang Yeshu, it was their first time seeing it. They were deeply shocked. Were those bleeding corpses on the ground truly the zombies that had once relentlessly hunted humans, terrifying and mad? Why were they so weak? In front of Wang Hao, they didn't even have a chance to fight back, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say they didn't even know how they died. "Is he really your classmate?" Qin Lian exclaimed. "Although the truth is incredible, this is the truth." Zhang Mingyao looked at Xiang Ru and said, "She is still Hao Guest's classmate." When they first bumped into each other, they were like strangers, neither recognizing the other. Not recognizing each other. This meant that Wang Hao was exceedingly mediocre. Qin Lian was very eager to understand who Wang Hao was, wanting to know what circumstances could lead a student who had not yet entered society to transform into a decisive killer, of being akin to a war god within such a short span of days after the apocalypse broke out. The weakness of zombies lies in their brains. Xiang Ru's voice pulled several people back from their shock. Zombies have a singular attack style. Overcoming your fear of them will reveal that killing them is not difficult. I will demonstrate how to kill them using your weapons. From here on, it's up to you all. The group nodded seriously. A night of mental preparation led to today. Wang Hao weaved between buildings, successfully arriving at Xingzue KTV, which was adjacent to the road, where about a dozen zombies were gathered at the entrance. Swiftly dispatching a few zombies blocking his way, he entered the KTV and was immediately hit by a strong stench of blood mixed with decay and dampness. Every few meters on the ground lay a rotting corpse. In his memory, the KTV was occupied by a small faction. Wang and over 20 others had wiped them out. According to their leader at the time, they had only just arrived, a fact later confirmed by the prompts on the roulette start button, thus establishing a timeline. This KTV was in a state of being ownerless. Wang Hao carefully observed the wounds on the corpses, noting their claw-like shapes and smooth edges alongside the absence of signs of struggle. This indicated that the enemy's claws were sharp, adept at ambushing, and fast. The only monsters that matched these criteria in the early apocalypse were. Wang Hao moved forward with a clear understanding, ascending to the second floor via the stairs. Along the way, he encountered around 10 corpses in grotesque states, some human and others zombies. Clearly, the enemy regarded this place as its territory. Whoever came here would be killed. Wang Hao walked straight into the third private room on the right, where a green roulette was slanted between the sofa and the floor. It was similar to the ordinary roulette Wang Hao had upgraded. It contained a total of 8 sections. Molly Hong. I hope to get a 1-star profession scroll. Wang Hao reached out to touch the start button of the roulette, which immediately turned blue. The number of sections remained the same, but the rewards changed. Besides retaining the 4 rewards from the 1-star roulette, the ordinary roulette rewards were omitted, replaced with 4 new rewards. These included weapon type 2-star, equipment type 2-star, supplies type 2-star, and 2-star enhancement potion. The probabilities also underwent changes. The best reward from the 1-star roulette, the 1-star enhancement potion, had its probability increased from 1 to 6, 7, while the second best weapon type 1-star rose from 8, 9 to 13, 2. The probability of the 2-star enhancement potion was even lower than that of the previous 1-star enhancement potion at only 1, 9. It truly required a life gamble. Damn, Wang Hao sighed. The number of sections remained unchanged, indicating there were no Easter eggs like profession scrolls or question marks, but it was what it was. Start. The panda eyes emitted two beams of red light, enveloping the pile of crystals. Immediately the gray crystals began to disappear at a visible rate. After about 10 seconds, when they had completely vanished, green light points appeared within the red glow device. Start. The panda eyes emitted two beams of red light, enveloping the pile of crystals. Immediately the gray crystals began to disappear at a visible rate. After about 10 seconds, when they had completely vanished, green light points appeared within the red glow. These light points formed 6 complete green crystals. I worked hard to kill all the way here, and only got 6 green crystals. Wang Hao did not complain. It was just painful. After all, he was lucky to have something to exchange for. Others would find it impossible to exchange for green crystals, even with a truckload of gray crystals. This just indicated that expanding the team was still very necessary. Wang Hao put away the refining device and took a green crystal to start the roulette. The needle began to accelerate. Suddenly, it stopped at the section representing equipment type 1-star. 1-star adventurer eye white duck bill hat enhanced from an ordinary hat. It prevents loss while moving at high speed. Wang Hao picked up the hat that fell from the roulette and put it on. This provided protection for his head, covering up his only visible weakness. It was not an exaggeration to say that if several ordinary firearms shot at him simultaneously, they wouldn't even be able to scratch his skin, let alone kill him. Not bad. The first spin landed on a practical piece of equipment. Wang Hao took out 2 green crystals and prepared for the second spin. This time the needle stopped at the section representing supplies type 1-star. 1-star healing potion below 2-star enhancers recover fully when consumed. 2 to 3-star enhancers recover quickly. Above 3 stars this potion is ineffective. Not bad. Wang Hao felt no panic even when injured. Just as he was about to spin for the third time, a sudden chill swept over him from behind. Under the faint light, it turned out to be a mutated cat larger than an ordinary cat with pitch-black eyes, its claws lunging directly at the back of Wang Hao's head. The mutated cat struck when people were relaxed, moving quickly and without warning. No wonder so many people and zombies had perished in the KTV. There was no defense against it. You wouldn't even know when it would strike. Unfortunately for it, it encountered Wang Hao, who was familiar with its tactics. At the moment it attacked, Wang Hao sensed it and swung his axe to turn and strike. The mutated cat collided with the axe blade as if it had thrown itself onto it, its body cleaved in two. As Wang Hao's axe blade met something hard, he casually picked up a gray crystal and then glanced at the half-gray, half-black claws of the fallen mutated cat, raising an eyebrow as he said, "I should have come a bit later. It was almost at 1-star evolution." He felt a bit ridiculous. While others were terrified of mutated cats, he was actually considering raising one. Nonchalantly, Wang Hao turned around, took out the remaining 3 green crystals, and initiated the third spin of the roulette, the needle whizzing with a sound. Spinning rapidly. Come on, a 2-star enhancement potion. Come on, a 2-star enhancement potion. At this stage, he could obtain 1-star enhancement potions through the ordinary roulette, but turning the 2-star roulette was definitely a loss. However, if he could get a 2-star potion, he could seamlessly transition when reaching full 1-star. He would advance to 2-star on the spot. He fixed his gaze on the roulette needle as it slowed down, barely passing over the equipment type and 2-star enhancement potion. Just as the needle was about to stop at the area representing the 2-star enhancement potion, he shouted, "Nice." But the needle stopped next to the potion area, landing on the section representing weapon type 2-star. 2-star fireline gun emits a straight line of flame when used, incinerating any target that comes into contact with the flame within seconds. Powered by crystal cores, the higher the crystal core level, the stronger the fireline gun's power. Although the result deviated from his expectations, the fireline gun was a perfect tool for zombie extermination. The narrower the space, the more efficient it became. Wang Hao had once seen a team using a fireline gun to wipe out hundreds of zombies, all incinerated in mere seconds. At that time, he had seen the crystal cores exposed among the corpses. It made him envious. This is truly an unexpected surprise. Wanting a bottle of 2-star potion, I got a fireline gun instead. Wang Hao slung the fireline gun, which resembled a rifle, over his shoulder and stepped out of the KTV, thinking about finding a place to test the power of the fireline gun. Wang Hao's gaze fell upon the 5-story building in the direction of 9 o'clock. This is the building. On both sides of it were shorter buildings, providing him an escape route if necessary. As Wang Hao slipped into the corridor, just as he was about to turn into the next street, he suddenly heard a deafening, frenzied roar followed by a voice deliberately lowered, instructing others not to panic, declaring it was just a zombie, alongside the sound of frantic footsteps. The sound of the zombie was not that intimidating. Could it be? Wang Hao followed the sound and spotted a wide street large enough for 3 cars to drive side by side. A group of 4 people was facing a vicious zombie with muscles larger than a human head, making its head appear relatively small. He couldn't help but smile. Indeed, it was it. 1-star zombie frenzied. The power of a frenzied zombie is several times that of an ordinary zombie, capable of punching through concrete walls. The most troublesome aspect is its attacking method. Like a storm, its attacks come relentlessly. A moment of weakness could lead to being smashed to bits. At this moment, the four of them gripped their iron rods and knives surrounding the frenzied zombie. One lean youth as thin as a bamboo pole nervously said, "I'm agile, I'll lure it away, you guys look for a chance to kill it." The other three nodded. The youth tapped the ground with his iron rod intending to attack. The frenzied zombie immediately turned towards him roaring as it charged. Oh! The youth was startled by the speed of the frenzied zombie and was just about to dodge when he stumbled forward and was sent flying by a punch. The bones beneath his skin cracked. The youth's eyes widened as he flew into the adjacent shop, knocking over several large wooden tables, and there was no sound for a long time. The impact of a one-star zombie is beyond what an ordinary person can withstand, especially with the power exhibited by a frenzied zombie. The other three were stunned. How is this zombie different from those we encountered before? One punch kills a person. This is terrifying. Reality is not turn-based. The frenzied zombie does not wait for them to react before attacking. After sending the youth flying, it immediately charged at another person. The four of them. It intends to devour them all today. Help me. The person targeted by the frenzied zombie fled in panic, suddenly feeling a strong wind behind him, and the world around him spun dizzyingly. The remaining two saw another companion being sent flying by the frenzied zombie. They ran even faster, terrified and shouting about what kind of monster this was. Humans are no match for them. The two suddenly saw one person not only not running, but actively approaching the monster, thinking he must be insane, seeking death. Did he not see how the last two died? Roar. The frenzied zombie saw Wang Hao as if it had found a plump duck to feast on, excitedly raising its massive arms, producing a deafening sound as it charged at Wang Hao, who simply raised his hand and effortlessly caught the punch. The frenzied zombie seemed momentarily stunned. This human caught my punch. Its punch was strong enough to kill someone with a single blow. Is that all? Wang Hao scoffed, throwing his axe, which spun through the air and cleaved the frenzied zombie's head. It fell backward. Its body convulsed in a final gasp. Wang Hao's combat power was overwhelming. Despite being a one-star zombie, he had defeated the frenzied zombie in a single exchange. If merely describing it is hard to grasp, this strike of his illustrated the stark difference in foundational strength. The two fleeing did not hear the zombie's roar, but instinctively turned back for just a moment, and that glance left them frozen in place. What? That person killed that powerful monster. The two would never forget how the frenzied zombie had just killed their companion, feeling powerless against its might. They had thought Wang Hao was going to his death. They did not expect he was going to hunt. This young man is terrifying. Wang Hao stepped forward, gripped the axe, and stirred it within the zombie's head. When he hit something hard, he exhaled. Lucky. A green crystal exploded out. To be honest, it was not easy to encounter a one-star zombie. If it hadn't dropped a green crystal, it would have felt quite disappointing. As he extracted the green crystal from the zombie's head, Wang Hao suddenly noticed zombies emerging from the adjacent buildings and corridor, drawn by the commotion caused by the frenzied zombie. Dozens of footsteps. The scene was still quite frightening. Come, a bunch of idiots. Wang Hao shouted as he dashed towards the predetermined location. The zombies had never seen such an audacious human before. They were enraged by his provocation and angrily pursued Wang Hao. The sounds of zombies roaring in response could be heard nearby. The ground trembled. The two who had hidden in the adjacent shop were shocked beyond measure, wondering what that person was doing and why he was attracting zombies. In just a few seconds, at least a few hundred zombies were chasing Wang Hao. This scene would make anyone feel dread, even troops. This is what it means to have people beyond people. One of them murmured, "What kind of fool goes out to kill zombies? He's directly leading zombies to kill him." Thanks to the one-star shoes, Wang Hao moved as if he were walking on the wind, his speed so fast that the zombies charging in from all directions could not even brush against the hem of his clothes. He left them in the dust. He rushed into the 5-story building, pushed open the fire door, and went upstairs while the horde of zombies behind crashed through the door, violently squeezing into the stairwell. Wang Hao gripped the fireline gun, took out the green crystal he had just obtained, and inserted it into the slot near the gun's stock. As he pulled the trigger, the green crystal spun rapidly, emitting light, and a straight fire line shot out toward the horde of zombies. The zombies hit by the fire line instantly became flaming figures, their bodies engulfed in flames that quickly spread to other nearby unaffected zombies. The stairs from the first to the second floor instantly turned into a sea of fire. They have no sense of pain and continued to charge at Wang Hao, but large chunks of their flesh were burned to smithereens by the extreme heat. Even their hard bones were reduced to dust with a mere squeeze. After just a couple of steps, they all collapsed. Truly, the fireline gun made its appearance less than a month after the disaster broke out. It's incredibly unfair. The fireline gun is a 2-star weapon paired with the green crystal. Its power is so immense that even 2-star monsters would need to take several hits before they could escape. Not to mention these ordinary zombies. It's like a level 20 player fighting against a level 1 player. How can one even play? Roar, roar, roar. Roar. Zombies continued to pour into the stairwell from outside, only to be dragged into the sea of fire by their still-burning companions. Wang Hao looked at the glowing crystal cores amidst the flames. His grin was so wide it almost split his face. In his past life, he had always watched others farm zombies, enjoying their joy. Now he experienced the thrill of farming zombies himself. Once no more zombies entered, Wang Hao ceased fire, waiting for the flames in the stairwell to subside before starting to pick up the crystal cores from the debris one by one. This time he had farmed at least a few hundred zombies. After nearly an hour of work, he tossed the collected crystal cores onto the platform from the first to the second floor, and then took out the refining device. Aimed at the pile of crystals, he activated it. The panda-like eyes emitted 2 beams of red light, enveloping the crystal pile. After about 10 seconds, the original pile of crystals had vanished, transformed into 6 gray crystals and 26 green crystals. What the hell? Wang Hao exclaimed in surprise. With less than 1,000 zombies, did I really drop nearly 800 gray crystals? You have to know that the drop rate for zombie crystal cores is only around 10. It's considered normal luck to get 1 crystal core for every 10 zombies, yet Wang Hao's drop rate is almost close to 100%. If the forces that statistically analyze probabilities knew about this, they would definitely shout it's rigged. If I don't grind a few more rounds, it would be an injustice for me to have obtained the frontline gun so early. Wang Hao put away the crystal cores and stepped out while drinking a Red Bull. Half an hour later, he arrived a kilometer away, shouting to lure in a horde of zombies into the pre-selected office building. Nearby survivors witnessing this scene thought Wang Hao had gone mad, as if he wanted to die even faster by attracting so many zombies. Sigh. Another person driven insane by the apocalypse, a scruffy man on the balcony of room 303 in a hotel, shook his head and said he chose the most tragic way to die. Those monsters will eat him alive, leaving no bones behind. The leader of a small team, seeing that the nearby zombies had been lured away by Wang Hao, excitedly blew him kisses from afar and exclaimed, "Brother, I love you. I was worried about how to get past the zombies downstairs, and you just came out to help me. Your death has value. I will never forget you." Following this, the leader shouted to his companions, "Quick, get your weapons, we're heading out." However, just when everyone thought Wang Hao was walking to his death, the deafening roars of the zombies gradually diminished until they fell silent. Then, covered in ashes, Wang Hao walked out of the office building alone. Not a single drop of blood was on him. The survivors were dumbfounded. What happened? Where are the zombies? He entered the building, which was essentially a dead end, and with hundreds of zombies chasing him, how could he come out unscathed? Wang Hao ignored the astonished gazes of those around him and quickly made his way to the next location, employing the same tactic of luring zombies into buildings to kill them. At 1812 in the evening, he had slaughtered 3 batches of zombies today. It should have been 4, but 1 batch went awry due to luring too many zombies. Nevertheless, he was satisfied, as the number of crystal cores he had obtained was impressive. Refined into green crystals, he had a total of 89. This meant he had killed several thousand zombies. Hiss. Truly terrifying. One person killed so many zombies. If he talked about this, he might be regarded as a boastful liar. Wherever he had been, the nearby survivors felt relieved, as there were almost no zombies in their area for the next few days. Wang Hao returned to the KTV. He invested 15 green crystals, spinning the 2-star roulette. 1-star tent folds down to palm size for easy carrying. When fully opened, it covers an area of 60 square meters, equipped with a double mattress and blanket, and has an automatic defense function that triggers when attacked, capable of defending against attacks below 3 stars. 1-star Sentinel. Once set up, it can monitor a radius of 500 meters and will promptly notify the owner of it. 2-star Hainatu backpack contains 88 cubic space, does not increase weight with added items, and has a freshness feature to keep perishable goods like vegetables and fruits fresh. Not bad. All 3 are good items. In fact, all the products from the 2-star roulette are useful for Wang Hao at this stage. It's just a matter of practicality. The 1-star tent goes without saying. Wherever he goes, it ensures he has a place to sleep, and it can be folded up, unlike before when he had to discard a tent every time he changed locations. The Sentinel generally at present has no monsters close to me, but it's better to be prepared. It's always wise to be cautious. Wang Hao's favorite was the 2-star backpack because he was tired of the hassle of needing to free up space in his backpack as he accumulated more items. 88 cubic is quite large. It would meet his needs for the next few months. Green crystals are hard to come by, so Wang Hao decided to spin the 2-star roulette 6 times. If he continued, unless he landed on 2-star potions or 2-star weapons, it wouldn't be worth it. It's better to spin new 2-star roulettes for a better cost-performance ratio. The next 1-star roulette is at. Wang Hao opened his phone's memo and muttered, "Jinlan no. 1 high school. I still have 74 green crystals left. It's getting dark. I definitely can't run today. Tomorrow I can spin a couple more 1-star roulettes. I hope to find a profession scroll. If I'm really unlucky, a bottle of 2-star potion would do." Wang Hao moved the valuable items from the 1-star backpack into the 2-star backpack, deciding not to carry food and drinks himself. he would find a subordinate to carry them. After he packed up, he returned the same way. Meanwhile, on the other side, by the roadside near the Simoa garden, Xiangru leaned against a utility pole, watching Zhang Yeshu, who was holding a steel gun, tightly face a zombie, with its belly ripped open, dry intestines exposed, lunging at her with a ferocious growl. Qin Lian and the others watched nervously, silently praying for her to stay calm and not panic. Zhang Yeshu's hands trembled, her face pale, looking as if she was on the verge of breaking down. Seeing the zombie raise its claws to strike, she gritted her teeth and thrust the steel gun into the zombie's eye, then immediately withdrew for safety. This would prevent the risk of being counterattacked by the zombie after failing to kill it with a single strike. As expected, Zhang Yeshu's strength was too small. The zombie did not die and lunged at her even more ferociously. However, she had already set up for a second strike, promptly thrusting the steel gun again, piercing the zombie's brain. Thick, foul blood flowed down the gun barrel. Zhang Yeshu pulled out the steel gun and uncontrollably stabbed the zombie several more times, until Qin Lian rushed over to hug her gently and said, "It's okay now, Yeshu." Only then did she gradually calm down, tears of pain streaming down her face. "You all know how to kill zombies now. You graduated." Xiangru stretched lazily and boredly complained, "Teaching how to kill zombies has been more tiring than going to kill zombies myself." Although Zhang Mengyao and the others had initially mastered the skill of killing zombies, they also faced misfortune, as one of the sisters had perished under the claws of a zombie. The group was reduced from 6 to 5. "You've worked hard," Zhang Mengyao said, realizing Xiangru's prowess after experiencing the killing, admiring her ability to teach the skill in such a short time and make them proficient in killing zombies. "It's really nothing, just boring." Before Xiangru could finish her sentence, a group of people walked out from the corridor diagonally across. Their eyes lit up. "Wow. Did we just encounter a gathering of fairies descending to earth?" Qin Lian's competent demeanor, Zhang Menjiao's stunning beauty, Zhang Yeshu's quiet purity, and others each had their unique charm. Pulling any one of them out would easily outshine a whole host of stars. In comparison to Xiangru's absolute allure, the others incited a collective impulse among the crowd, wanting to embrace them and shower them with affection. Yin Gu, a bald man wielding a steel knife, greedily smiled and said, "We can't just let them go like." Sun Yan's gaze remained fixed on Zhang Mengyao, thinking to himself that this woman was extraordinary. He had encountered countless women, yet none could match her. If he could win her over, it would make his life worth living. No, it should be the other way around. She should be honored to be with me. What woman is difficult to deal with? Sun Yan glanced at Xiangru and commanded, "When we get closer, you all rush forward and use all your strength to take her down. Whoever dares to show mercy, don't blame me for being ruthless." The bald man nodded and turned to relay a few instructions to the stronger members of the group. On Xiangru's side, she recognized Sun Yin and his group as the survivors she encountered the previous night. From their gazes, she keenly sensed a hint of danger. "Let's go," Xiangru decisively said. "We'll return the same way." Not daring to delay, Zhang Mengyao led her people to leave quickly. Seeing that they had been exposed, Sun Yin and his group decided to pursue openly. They quickly caught up with Xiangru at the back and immediately split into two teams. Sun Yin, the bald man, and 3 others decisively surrounded Xiangru. The other 9 pursued Zhang Mengyao and her group. Seeing this, Xiangru wasted no time and pressed forward towards a burly man, landing an uppercut that struck his descending steel blade. Both were ordinary enhancers with equal strength. The burly man's blade faltered in midair, and at that moment the advantage of Xiangru's knuckles became apparent. She braced against the recoil, seized the burly man's wrist with force, and hurled him towards the 2 approaching bald men. Immediately after, Xiangru turned and closed in on the long-haired man behind her. He wielded a dagger and slashed at Xiangru. She pulled her head back to dodge it, and although he followed up with several wild slashes, his moves lacked skill and were easily anticipated by Xiangru, who nimbly evaded them. Xiangru seized the opportunity presented by the long-haired man's anxious openings and delivered a knee strike that sent him flying. Although Sun Yan's 5 were all ordinary enhancers, their fighting skills were akin to street thugs. They stood no chance against Xiangru, who had undergone combat system training and learned Muay Thai, as she divided their numbers into several 1v1 duels. They could not stop Xiangru at all. Seeing that Sun Yan's men were closing in on Zhang Mengyao and her group, Xiangru hurriedly tried to rush over to help. However, the long-haired man, unwilling to yield, suddenly lunged at her, his features twisted into a fierce snarl as he slashed his knife towards her abdomen. "Die!" Xiangru scoffed. "Is that all you've got?" As she closed in on the long-haired man, she leaned to the side at the last moment, swiping her hand across the dagger, creating a spray of sparks, and then she punched him in the abdomen. He spat out blood, clutching his painfully throbbing stomach as he staggered backward. If it weren't for the ordinary clothes he wore produced by a roulette, the steel spikes of Xiangru's knuckles would have left multiple holes in his gut. Just as Xiangru turned to assist, she suddenly saw Sun Yin charging in from the side, kicking her several meters away and slamming her harshly onto the ground. "Ouch!" Xiangru felt her neck throb with pain, her body curling up in agony, as she thought to herself, was he a higher-grade enhancer? Why was he stronger than the others? Xiangru's instinct was correct. However, Sun Yin was not a one-star enhancer. His strength surpassed Xiangru's because he had consumed 4 bottles of ordinary enhancement potions. 4 bottles of basic potions and 1 bottle of advanced potions made a significant difference. Wait! The bald man and his companions rushed over, wanting to finish Xiangru off. Suddenly, the long-haired man screamed, turned, and spat a mouthful of blood-stained spit, angrily approaching and viciously kicking Xiangru, sending her rolling on the ground. The long-haired man also had his pride. As a man, he had been beaten by a woman twice. If he didn't reclaim his honor, how could he face others? Damn it! The long-haired man continued to stomp on Xiangru furiously again and again, mercilessly crushing her hands covered in dust, causing her to spew blood continuously, while stifled cries escaped her lips. His expression grew increasingly ferocious as he taunted, "What good is being tough? Right now you're still being stomped into the ground like a dead dog." Ha ha ha! Xiangru laughed wildly. "Is this your pathetic rage of incompetence?" Her words struck a nerve for the long-haired man. He kicked at Xiangru's face with all his might, but at that moment Xiangru exploded into action. Though her hand was broken and unusable, she bit down on the long-haired man's cheek, tearing off a large chunk of flesh. Blood sprayed onto Xiangru's face. The long-haired man pushed Xiangru away in agony. Ha ha ha! Xiangru spat out the flesh from her mouth, laughing madly. "If you want to vent your frustrations, you better consider your own strength first." "You fool! I told you not to give this madwoman a chance," Sun Yin said sternly. "Hurry up and Seeing Xiangru in such a frenzied state, the bald man and his 2 companions felt a bit unnerved, but with numbers on their side, they raised their knives and charged in unison. Xiangru braced herself to resist. She was only wearing ordinary clothes. After withstanding 2 knife strikes, the third cut through, leaving a deep wound that exposed bone, spraying bright blood and staining most of her body red. "Die!" The bald man swung his knife towards Xiangru's head. "Brother Hao will probably laugh at me for this," Xiangru murmured fearlessly. "I can't even protect a few people." Just as the bald man was about to cleave Xiangru in 2, there was a sudden bang and blood sprayed from the bald man's head as he fell to the side wide-eyed. The long-haired man and his 2 companions were taken aback. What was that gunfire? Bang! Bang! Just as the 3 of them realized what was happening, they heard 2 more deafening gunshots, and the other 2 men besides the long-haired man fell to the ground, blood gushing out. Xiangru looked over in confusion. A handsome cold man was approaching with a gun in hand. "Brother Hao," Xiangru exclaimed with admiration, "this is the first time I've seen you. You're just so cool." "It's the last time I'll see you," she added, "and you're still so cool." Yes, the man was Wang. He had just returned and encountered Xiangru and her group in danger. Since it was far away, he decisively pulled out the gun that Chen Daji had given him. That said, it had been nearly a year since he last used a gun, but his aim was still precise. "Just went out for a bit, and my home almost got robbed." Wang Hao pointed his gun back and forth between the remaining 2 men, saying, "You better not move, my aim is both fast and accurate." The long-haired man felt panic. Sun Yan's expression turned serious as he thought to himself that this man must be the so-called king of soldiers others often spoke of. His marksmanship was incredible, taking down the bald men with a single shot each. Damn it, this madwoman is backed by a fierce character. This won't end well. Wang Hao reached into his backpack, pulled out a bottle of healing potion, and tossed it to Xiangru, saying, "You go and take your revenge yourself." Xiangru drank the potion. The pain from her wounds turned suddenly itchy. When she looked down, the deep gash that exposed bone was visibly healing at an astonishing speed, and the healed skin bore no scars. Even her broken hand was restored. To Xiangru, this scene seemed like a miracle, but to Wang Hao it was merely healing potions can cure the injuries of enhancers below 2 stars. Healing an ordinary enhancer is a simple task. "Are you scared?" Xiangru stood up, twisting her neck and stretching her limbs, coldly gazing at the long-haired man, saying, "I am going to smash your mouth first." The long-haired man was taken aback. "No. How is this possible? Wasn't this woman just beaten to the brink of death by me? Why is she now as if nothing happened after drinking a potion? Let's talk properly. Let's talk." The long-haired man panicked, his words unfinished when he saw Xiangru rushing towards him, a punch landing squarely on his mouth. The long-haired man fell to the ground with a groan. Xiangru unleashed a flurry of punches, smashing the long-haired man's mouth. Sun Yin felt a chill in his heart, knowing that if he remained passive, he would be the next victim. He recalled how he had just managed to dodge the bullet. If he reacted quickly, he could evade that person's first shot. He fired directly. A bullet propelled by a rush of wind shot towards Sun Yan's face. In that moment, Sun Yin was more focused than ever, as if the bullet had slowed down to half speed in his eyes, and he swiftly turned around. An arrow released from a bow. He fired directly. A bullet propelled by a rush of wind shot towards Sun Yan's face. In that moment, Sun Yin was more focused than ever, as if the bullet had slowed down to half speed in his eyes, and he swiftly turned around. By a mere hair's breadth, he truly dodged the bullet. I dodged it, Sun Yin exclaimed joyfully, continuing to rush towards Wang Hao, saying, "Do you think you've won for sure? Fool, you will pay for my brother's death." Wang Hao let out a light gasp, not expecting that there would already be someone who had consumed more than 4 potions. Sun Yin approached Wang Hao, and in his eyes he imagined himself splitting Wang Hao in half with a single strike, unable to help but grin savagely. "You may not know this. Shooting is my weak point." Wang Hao put away his pistol, drew a hand axe, and struck down directly. Sun Yin only felt a flash of cold light. Before he could react, his head and neck were split apart, still wearing a triumphant smile on his face. Wang Hao walked past Sun Yin. Half a second later, he suddenly coughed up blood and collapsed, his expression shifting from a smile to one of pain and shock. He probably couldn't comprehend why he had consumed 4 ordinary enhancement potions and yet died inexplicably. Xiang Ru had already beaten the long-haired man into a pulp, rising to face Wang Hao, her body covered in blood and bits of flesh, and said with a light laugh, "Now that you've seen me like this, you won't be able to lift your head again." Wang Hao walked over and lifted Xiang Ru's chin, leaning down to cover her lips. "The horde is coming. We'll talk later." Wang Hao stroked Xiang Ru's face, then turned to walk towards Zhang Mingyao and the others, while Xiang Ru bit her lip, feeling a deep impact within her. Interesting. Is this the kind of romance that belongs to Wang Hao? On the other side, Sun Yan's group had already ceased their attack on the women the moment Wang Hao fired his first shot. When they saw the 5 strongest members of their team fall one by one, especially witnessing the strongest Sun Yin being easily killed by him, they were left in utter shock. The Sun Yin, who was known for his slaughtering of zombies, was regarded as the strongest. Even retired soldiers had to bow their heads before him. Now Sun Yin had actually been killed in an instant. "Run! Run quickly!" The 9 of them no longer dared to hesitate, panicking as they scattered to escape, but the gunshots echoed too loudly in the silent streets, and to the zombies' ears, it was a blatant provocation, causing them to rush out frantically from various directions. The 9 encountered zombies wherever they went. They were not enhancers, and their ordinary gear couldn't withstand the onslaught of dozens of zombies, and soon they were all knocked down one by one. The faces of the women turned pale. What should we do with so many zombies? It seems like wherever we go will become the zombies' dinner. Let's head to that building. Zhang Mingyao maintained her composure, looking around and pointing to the nearest 3-story building, saying, The 4 of them quickly ran towards the building, encountering a zombie with severely decayed legs at the entrance, and Qin Lian immediately stabbed her knife into the zombie's eye forcefully, pushing it in until it stopped moving. The other 3 were not idle either. They worked together to break the iron door's lock. After a day's training, it was evident that they had begun to develop self-sufficiency. "You guys go upstairs and block the zombies coming down from above at the corner." After giving her orders to the 3, Qin Lian leaned against the door and waved to Zhang Mingyao, urgently saying, "Mingyao." Zhang Mingyao stabbed a pursuing zombie with her dagger, and upon hearing the sound rushed to the door. At this moment, Wang Hao and another person approached. "Xiang Ru," Wang Hao said, "you go lure the zombies over." Zhang Mingyao and Qin Lian were stunned. "What? Lure the zombies over?" With the current loud noise, there were at least hundreds of zombies. Bringing them over would surely leave them as nothing but scraps. "You are crazier than me." Xiang Ru excitedly followed Wang Hao's orders. A few seconds later, she returned with a backpack and a terrifying horde of moving corpses. Just looking at it, Zhang Mingyio's legs felt weak. Unable to comprehend what Wang Hao intended to do, did he really want to take on hundreds alone? Is that even possible? Even with Xiang Ru, there were only 2 of them. The idea of the 2 of them killing hundreds of zombies seemed like an impossible task. Wang Hao took out a flamethrower. As Xiang Ru ran behind him, he shot out a straight line of fire, instantly igniting the zombies' hit directly, then sweeping to the left and then to the right. In an instant, the horde turned into a sea of fire. The zombies hadn't even reached Wang Hao before they turned to charred remains, collapsing to the ground, trampled by those that followed. Zhang Mingyao and Qin Lian were left speechless. This was unscientific. A flamethrower had slaughtered hundreds of zombies. The 2 had just been terrified, their nerves at their peak, even thinking Wang Hao was overestimating himself. They never expected that the disaster-level crisis in their eyes was resolved by Wang Hao as if it were a minor incident in daily life. "This man is too strong. You went out this time and came back as if you were no longer human." Xiang Ru looked at Wang Hao and said, "In the past you would kill them one by one. Now you kill them in groups." "Just a small scene," Wang Hao said nonchalantly. "Mingyao, wait for the fire to go out, and then collect all the cores. They thought I was hard to deal with, so they didn't trouble me. But today, perhaps because Zhang Mingyao and the others were too How did you guys run into that group?" Wang Hao moved a chair from a nearby shop, sitting down as Xiang Ru sat on his lap, smiling as he said, "I ran into them in the garden last night. They even invited me to join them then. They thought I was hard to deal with, so they didn't trouble me. But today perhaps because Zhang Mingyao and the others were too eye-catching they came straight for us. By the way, they have another name called the Survivor Paradise. Wang Hao's eyes widened. Are you sure it's Survivor? The one called Sun Yin introduced himself right away. Oh, how could I not be sure? Xiangru rarely saw Wang Hao react this strongly surprised as she asked, what's wrong? Is this Survivor Paradise some formidable underground force? Sun Yin. Wang Hao confirmed that the Survivor Paradise he encountered was indeed the one ranked 17th in his past life, as their leader was named Sun Yin. He hadn't recognized him earlier mainly because someone of Wang Hao's level had no chance of intersecting with Sun Yin. After all, being a 9-star warrior sounded impressive, but in reality, it was just average, and in a few years he would only rank in the middle. Wang Hao chuckled. In his past life, he didn't even have the qualification to meet Sun Yin. Yet today it felt as though he had taken down a mere side character. He had slain Sun Yin, the future leader of the Survivor Paradise, ranked 17th among all factions. I wondered how Chun Daji, who possessed such a fine item as a crystal core refining device, remained obscure. It turns out he crossed paths with Sun Yin. Wang Hao sighed inwardly about the unpredictability of life. If he had known earlier how formidable Sun Yin was, he wouldn't have let him die so hastily. But it was bad luck for Sun Yin. During his developmental years, he had collided with a prodigy. It's nothing. Wang Hao changed the subject, saying, what about the backpack you picked up? I snatched it off one of their bodies while passing by. Xiangru grabbed the backpack from the ground, unzipped it, and inside were gray crystals. Wang Hao casually glanced over and suddenly spotted something different among the crystals, reaching in to pull it out. It was a beautiful purple crystal. Holy crap! The purple crystal came from a 3-star monster. At this point, whether there were any 3-star monsters around was uncertain. How did Sun Yan's group manage to obtain this purple crystal? Random rewards. Wang Hao could only think of this possibility. These big shots from his past life truly had good fortune. If he hadn't interfered, considering Zhang's roulette, it would have been different. Sun Yin had received 2 random rewards. Damn. Even after becoming a 9-star warrior in his past life, Wang Hao had never experienced the taste of random rewards. It was a pity that Sun Yan's good luck amounted to nothing. In the end, it only served to make a fool of Wang Hao. The purple crystal is of great value. He'll go spin the 4-star roulette, at the very least it will yield a 3-star reward. Wang Hao pocketed the purple crystal, having already decided its use, but before that he needed to fulfill the intel from his 1-star roulette. As the two chatted, the flames gradually subsided. Zhang Mingyao signaled Qin Lian and the others to come forward with the backpack and began searching for crystal cores among the charred remains of the corpses. Everything happening here was being observed by nearby survivors who looked at Wang Hao with shock and disbelief. Were they hallucinating from hunger? He all alone had wiped out hordes of zombies. Had they not witnessed zombies drinking blood and eating flesh and the fierce combat capabilities? After seeing Wang Hao's operations, they might have thought that zombies were just experienced babies with no difficulty in killing them. What does this mean? Is he the chosen one? On the 5th floor of the opposite building in room 502, a fashionable young man with headphones around his neck felt unbalanced in his heart, saying, why does he have those powerful weapons and I don't? What makes me worse than him? That's disgusting. What are those blocks? A girl from the neighboring unit on the 5th floor noticed the actions of Zhang Mingyao and the others and pondered, could it be that the reason that guy is so powerful is because he ate those blocks? The more she thought about it, the more she felt it made sense. Otherwise, it didn't explain Wang Hao's inhuman quality. He must be in heaven. A man with a mustache leaned out from room 601 in the adjacent building, his gaze constantly shifting towards the beautiful women like Xiangru, Zhang Mingyao, and Zhang Yushu, enviously saying, a single guy has several stunning beauties. Each one looks like they walked out of a painting. That's amazing. 20 minutes later, the girls finished collecting all the crystal cores. With many people, things went quickly. Wang Hao had spent nearly an hour on a similar amount of work before. Approximately 523 crystal cores, Zhang Mingyao reported, with an error margin of no more than 20. Let's head back. Wang Hao pushed Xiangru off his lap, stood up, and nodded, saying, on the way, let's bring back a few buckets of water too. Okay. Zhang Mingyao and her team guarded Wang Hao as they moved ahead. Although he didn't need protection, they couldn't let him, the big brother, take action against a few zombies. With that said, what were they supposed to do? Just after they had walked 200 or 300 meters, several survivors suddenly emerged from the nearby buildings, followed by more people streaming out. They surrounded Wang Hao and his group, smiling ingratiatingly. The unbalanced, fashionable young man was among them, smiling at Wang Hao, saying, big brother, I'm a good listener. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. You've already brought a few people along, you don't need me. As he spoke, a woman knelt down with a child, crying, please save my child, we haven't eaten anything for almost 2 days. Others chimed in, trying to persuade Wang Hao to let them join, appealing to emotions and reasoning. Brother Hao, Zhang Mingyao sought Wang Hao's guidance. Do I need to teach you how to handle such trivial matters? Wang Hao said indifferently. Right now, we haven't even stabilized our own footing. Bringing in more people is one thing, but I'm just worried that if there are too many it will create chaos and it would be easy to be dragged down, plus food is also an issue. Too many mouths mean more trouble. The pressure will be immense. Zhang Mingyao quickly weighed the pros and cons. Glancing over the crowd, she said coldly, "We won't take anyone with us. Please go back. This is a warning, not a negotiation. If you block our way, don't blame us for being heartless." After saying this, Zhang Mingyao drew her dagger, and the others also revealed their weapons. Most people were frightened and retreated. A scruffy man, possibly driven mad by the apocalypse, pointed at Wang Hao and shouted, "You have the ability, what's wrong with helping us? Will you die or what? Can't people be a little less selfish? Is the phrase mutual aid and solidarity eaten by dogs?" After saying this, the man incited, "Come on, everyone, let's see if they dare to act, if they deserve to be called human." Wang Hao's gaze was cold. These people just wanted to mooch off him. They dared to come down, but wouldn't even walk a couple hundred meters to the convenience store. He could take in these people now. But what would happen when he encounters 100 or 1,000 people later? Was he supposed to be able to kill millions with a single breath? Or how was it with a face that big enough to protect everyone? And they were still in the beginner phase where attacking single zombies was merely for training and swiftly adapting to the rhythms of the apocalypse. A month later, once the torrential rains ended, monsters would roam freely. Even the weakest zombies would have their combat power increased by 100, directly squeezing out the living space for ordinary people. According to statistics from factions in his past life, nearly 1/3 of survivors died within 3 days after the torrential rains ended. I've never seen anyone so selfish. If I had their abilities, I would definitely protect everyone. We are human, not zombies. I don't believe they would dare to act recklessly. Encouraged by the scruffy man, others joined in the uproar, and others began to stir, attempting to use moral coercion against Wang Hao. Zhang Mingyao struggled within, realizing that if she hesitated, her score in Wang Hao's heart would greatly diminish. A qualified leader would never let irrelevant factors affect their judgment. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, then suddenly opened her beautiful eyes, her gaze sharp and resolute, her voice cold as ice. Kill. Zhang Yushu was closest to the uncle. Although the concepts established in a peaceful era prohibited her from taking action, thinking of Shaoqin's death and the cruelty of this team that wouldn't tolerate burdens, she resolutely thrust the steel gun, piercing the uncle's heart. The uncle's eyes widened with rage. It seemed he hadn't expected them to dare act. Others fell silent, stepping back, their earlier arrogance of "they wouldn't dare kill me" vanished. "Let's go." Zhang Mingyao led the group onward. "What kind of strong medicine did you give them?" Wang Hao looked at Xiang Ru in surprise, saying, "Their progress is astonishing. I just taught them how to kill zombies normally. One crazy person like me is enough for you." Xiang Ru replied innocently. However, their significant change is likely related to the death of one among them. That person died from hesitation. Wang Hao understood. The group returned to the villa just before 8 in the evening, stopping by a water shop and bringing back a truckload of bottled water. "You can take whatever food and drink you want." Wang Hao glanced at the tired women and said, "Those who want to take a shower can go first." The women were very surprised. In such a time, when resources were so precious, when Chun Daji managed them, the daily food rations were so minimal that even children couldn't be fed, let alone showers. This made Wang Hao's generosity seem almost unreal. "If you follow me, it's impossible that even such a simple demand as being full can't be met." Wang Hao saw the looks the women gave him, knowing what they were thinking, and said directly, "You should have also heard Mingyao mention the matter of the potions. If you perform well, I naturally won't be stingy." Having been in several factions, Wang Hao concluded that leading with an iron fist wouldn't last long. The people underneath would easily turn against him. The best approach was to combine kindness and authority, maintaining a balance between sternness and approachability. The women's eyes brightened. If they could obtain a bottle of strengthening potion and become agile and powerful like Xiang Ru, they would feel confident stepping outside. "Mingyao will keep half of those crystal cores. Take the rest with you tomorrow, and keep an eye out for any roulette along the way. If the roulette frame is gray, go ahead and spin it. About 10 times will suffice. Continuing beyond that isn't cost effective. If you find a different roulette, take a picture and show me." Then Wang Hao left a small backpack and said, "Xiang Ru, take." Zhang Mingyao nodded seriously. Wang Hao asked Zhang Yushu to prepare dinner for him, then went upstairs to the bathroom to wash off the blood on his body. But halfway through, he suddenly sensed someone entering the room and struggled to say, "You almost got yourself killed today. Aren't you tired?" Xiang Ru pushed the door open, entered, splashed a scoop of water on her face, and smiled mischievously. "Thanks to the potion you gave me, I'm full of energy now. Or are you scared? You can surrender, but it's okay." "Am I scared?" Wang Hao let Xiang Ru lean against the door. 2 hours later, Wang Hao came downstairs and saw only Zhang Yushu left in the hall. The others probably couldn't stay awake any longer and had gone to sleep. Zhang Yushu stood by the window, sensing someone coming downstairs. Turning around, she saw Wang Hao and hurriedly said, "Brother, how the rice is cold. They'll heat it up for you." "No need." Wang Hao was starving, grabbed the self-heating rice, and took a big bite of a braised duck leg. Xiang Ru was too much trouble. She wouldn't shout for her father. Wang Hao wouldn't leave. After finishing his meal, drinking a chilled drink, he leaned back on the sofa and asked, "Did Meng Yao leave you here on duty?" "Yes, I'll stay until midnight, and then she will take over." Zhang Yeshu smiled wearily. "Mainly, I can't fall asleep. When I close my eyes, I see Shao Qin, and my mind is filled with the zombies I've killed, those people shouting for me to repay their lives. You'll get used to it." Wang Hao had a similar experience and empathized, saying, "If you're not ruthless, those shouting for your life will be you." "Brother Hao, you're amazing. You can handle any situation calmly." Zhang Yeshu admired Wang Hao, having experienced the cruelty of the apocalypse. It was hard to imagine that he was only a few years older than herself, but possessed the courage of a war god. Wang Hao smiled. In his past life, he wasn't the most powerful, but in this stage it felt almost like cheating. "Can I lean against you to sleep for a while?" Zhang Yeshu quickly explained, fearing Wang Hao would misunderstand. "I mean no other intentions, I'm just afraid." Wang Hao opened his arms. "Thanks. Thank you, Brother Hao." Zhang Yeshu nestled into Wang Hao's embrace, feeling as if a drifting boat had found a safe harbor, her heart at peace like never before. The zombies chasing her and the dead people had also vanished. Wang Hao lay on the sofa, inhaling Zhang Yeshu's faint body scent, suddenly hearing her steady breathing, chuckling softly. It hadn't even been 30 seconds. She fell asleep too quickly. Wang Hao unknowingly fell asleep too. When he opened his eyes, it was already the next morning. Zhang Yeshu in his arms slowly opened her eyes due to his movement, and upon seeing Wang Hao's handsome face, smiled blissfully. "Cough, cough." Zhang Yeshu heard the coughing sound. Her smile froze. Turning her head stiffly, she suddenly saw Zhang Meng Yao and the others in the living room looking at her with strange expressions. She let out a "ah" and covered her face, fleeing upstairs. She was utterly embarrassed, being seen by Aunt Qin and the others sleeping with Brother Hao. Wang Hao didn't feel embarrassed at all. He got up and went to the bathroom. The older woman, Chen Ying, entered with a tray, saying, "Brother Hao, here's a warm towel. It will feel nice on your face." Wang Hao wiped his face with the towel. It felt really good. It felt like the pores on his face opened up. He said he noticed someone had already squeezed toothpaste for him and prepared a cup of mouthwash. In a daze, it felt like he wasn't in the apocalypse, but living a noble life. He noticed someone had already squeezed toothpaste for him and prepared a cup of mouthwash. In a daze, it felt like he wasn't in the apocalypse, but living a noble life. This upon opening their eye. "I don't even want to work hard anymore. Isn't it nice to live this immortal life?" After washing up, Wang Hao came out to eat the breakfast prepared by Qin Lian, turning to look at the sunny sky outside, feeling as if he were dreaming. "Still, I can't be complacent. Yi Fan is a very intelligent and cunning person. In his past life, his family was annihilated by the Gun Emperor among the 4 emperors due to choosing the wrong side. It is said he strongly opposed that side. His instinct for the apocalypse must be sharper than most. I don't know how far he has developed by now." Thinking of Yi Fan's prowess was like a cold bucket of water splashed on his face. Wang Hao thought, "I must quickly enhance my strength and seek revenge for the betrayal." Thinking of Yi Fan, Wang Hao could still hear the lingering cries of the Demon King and Yi Fan's taunts. "You, a penniless orphan without parents, dare to stand equal with me, young Master Yi. If it weren't for the old fools of the Yi family who stood in the wrong camp, you aren't even worthy to carry my shoes." Wang Hao felt the pain of being trampled by Yi Fan surge through him, crushing the bread in his hand, causing the atmosphere in the room to suddenly chill. This made Qin Lian's heart tighten. She wondered if she had stepped on a landmine. "Yi Fan, I will crush your pride with my own hands." Wang Hao tensed up again, seeing Qin Lian's anxious expression. He clapped his hands and said, "I've recalled something unpleasant. It has nothing to do with you." Then Wang Hao stood up and looked at Zhang Mingyao. "If you don't come back by evening, just find a place to spend the night." Zhang Mingyao nodded. "All right." Wang Hao left with his backpack, following the phone's navigation to the vicinity of Jinlan No. 1 middle school, where he remembered the 1-star roulette seemed to be in the high school section. Which classroom exactly? He would have to search one by one. Approaching the school gate of No. 1 middle school, Wang Hao suddenly heard rustling noises from above. Without thinking, he jumped back and 3 fist-sized shadows dropped from the sky, slamming their forelimbs into the spot where he had just stood. This is the difference between an old hand and a novice. A novice, upon hearing a sound, would instinctively look up. If it's something manageable, that's fine, but if they encounter a formidable creature, it's easy to meet their demise. Wang Hao's immediate jump was the most prudent course of action. Cockroaches are still disgusting, especially the mutated flying cockroaches. The sudden sensory stimulation is horrifying. I've been sickened by them before. Wang Hao saw the true form of the shadows and swung his hand axe. The 3 cockroaches, perhaps enraged by their failed ambush, screeched as they raised their spiny forelimbs, lining up in a fan shape and rushing toward him. Just as Wang Hao was about to move, 4 men wielding steel knives or steel spears suddenly charged out from the diagonal walkway. One young man with naturally curly hair took the lead, taking several strides to close in on a cockroach and thrusting his spear into its head. The young man was clearly an enhancer. This attack pierced straight through the cockroach's head. The other three joined forces to kill the second cockroach, while the third cockroach, seeing its companions fall one after another, angrily shifted its target, raising its forelimbs like spears, aiming straight at one of the three. The young man quickly turned. Zhang Jingyi. Wang Hao recognized the young man and exclaimed in surprise, "What a coincidence. Running into him here." In their past lives, the two had teamed up for a while before parting ways due to differing ideologies. After that, he hadn't heard any news of him. He was a breath of fresh air in the apocalyptic world, eager to help others and believing humanity should unite to combat disaster. Even months after the apocalypse began, his spirit had not wavered. At that time, Wang Hao admired Zhang Jingyi. He ventured through the apocalypse with sheer passion. Zhang Jingyi stirred the spear in the cockroach's head and looked up at his companions. "Don't you have any crystal cores?" "None." His companions shook their heads. "What bad luck. I've killed 7 or 8 cockroaches and haven't found a single crystal core." Zhang Jingyi pulled out his spear and looked at Wang Hao. "Friend, are you all right? I haven't even had a chance to get into trouble, and the cockroaches have already been killed by you." Wang Hao chuckled lightly. The tall man, already displeased from not finding a crystal core, exploded upon hearing Wang Hao's nonchalant tone. He pointed at Wang Hao, saying, "What's your problem? We saved you, and you can't even say thank you." In their view, if it weren't for them, Wang Hao would have been eaten by the 3 cockroaches long ago. After all, even Zhang Jingyi as an enhancer would struggle against 3 cockroaches. He might even have a mishap. Let alone Wang Hao, this inexperienced kid, was all by himself. It's fine. Zhang Jingyi patted the tall man's arm and explained to Wang Hao, "He's just like that. He's not a bad person. It's quite dangerous for you to be out here alone. Would you like to join us for mutual protection?" "No need." Wang Hao still didn't want to team up with Zhang Jingyi in this life. It's good to each shine in their own way. If you don't want, I won't force you, but there are a lot of mutated cockroaches around here, and many people have been eaten by them. If you don't have anything special to do, hurry and leave." Zhang Jingyi finished speaking and called his companions to leave. "Are they also going to know?" "One middle school." Wang Hao noticed the direction Zhang Jingyi was heading, raised an eyebrow, and then stealthily entered No. 1 middle school, heading straight for the high school section. What he didn't know was that shortly after he left, a group of cockroaches crawled out from the shadows, moving beside the corpse of the cockroach Zhang Jingyi had killed, their antennae waving like antennas, and then they all turned to face the direction of No. 1 middle school. Wang Hao ascended to the 2nd floor. Perhaps the zombies were lured away, or for some other reason he encountered nothing but corpses along the way with no living beings. As he walked, he scanned the classrooms through the windows. Soon he ruled out the 2nd floor and turned to ascend to the 3rd floor. "Is your hand covered in history? It stinks. What good will turning out a pair of socks do?" I was wrong. Sister Yin, don't hit me anymore." Wang Hao arrived to hear a girl scolding a boy. His gaze flickered, and he followed the voice to the second-to-last classroom. There on the back row desk sat an ordinary roulette. Zhao Meiyin, with green hair and stepping on the heel of her canvas shoes, was repeatedly slapping the head of a chubby boy who was bobbing up and down. Wang Hao raised an eyebrow. He didn't remember there being an ordinary roulette here, but that was normal. Years had passed between his past life and rebirth, and he had experienced so much that he couldn't even recall the exact location of the 1-star roulette. Moreover, forgetting about an ordinary roulette wasn't surprising. As Wang Hao entered the classroom, the timid yellow-haired girl behind Zhao Meiyin tugged at Zhao Meiyan's shirt nervously. "Sister Yin, someone is coming." Zhao Meiyin looked at Wang Hao and immediately noticed the hand axe in his hand, instinctively stepping aside, saying, "Hey handsome, your outfit is quite impressive." Wang Hao ignored her touch, the roulette upgrading it from ordinary to 1-star, then took out a gray crystal from his backpack and tossed it into the roulette. Zhao Meiyan's eyes widened as she saw Wang Hao's backpack filled with crystal cores. Wow, where did this? Their crystal cores were picked up from the survivors eaten by cockroaches, totaling only 4, while Wang Hao's bag had at least dozens. This, a vivid sense of the disparity between the poor and the rich. "Hey handsome, you're amazing. You have so many blocks all by yourself. Although it's not my first time, my experience definitely doesn't exceed 2 people. Can you manage to trade 5 blocks in an hour?" Wang Hao looked at Zhao Meiyin and over and saying, "This is my cousin. Although it's not my first time, my experience definitely doesn't exceed 2 people. Can you manage to trade 5 blocks in an hour?" Wang Hao looked at Zhao Meiyin. "I can do it too," Zhao Meiyin replied playfully, "but I need 10 blocks in an hour." The chubby boy stared at Zhao Meiyin in stunned disbelief. I had stood by her side like a fawning dog, never earning so much as a kind word, only enduring frequent beatings and scolding. That man hadn't even spoken a single word, yet she rushed toward him willingly. "Here, 1 gray crystal," Wang Hao said casually, flicking a gray crystal into the air. "Now vanish from my sight." Immediately, he now possessed a corpse farming artifact. His rate of acquiring gray crystals had surged dramatically, 3 or 5 at a time, as effortless as pocket change once was. He spent them freely. Yes. Zhao Meiyin snatched the gray crystal midair, terrified Wang Hao might rescind his offer, then dragged the blonde girl out of the classroom. A single gray crystal meant nothing to Wang Hao, but to them it demanded life or death struggle. Instantly silence descended upon his ears. He resumed spinning the wheel. Hot pot meal set includes broth-based fresh vegetables, meats, dumplings, and other frozen items. Consume compressed biscuits 10. Mixed fruit-flavored bread 5. Energy bars 2. Standard enhancement serum. 1-star enhancement serum. Wang Hao spun the wheel 20 times, expending 207 gray crystals, and secured 3 vials of the 1-star enhancement serum he sought. 10 supply rewards. 4 equipment rewards, and 3 weapon rewards. This was the luxury of abundance. When gray crystals were scarce, few dared spin more than 10 times per session. Wang Hao downed all 3 vials. Every cell in his body surged with rapid division and reinforcement, filling him with overwhelming vitality. A fierce, almost primal urge to unleash his power seized him. I now possess 7 basic vials. This body feels capable of effortlessly overwhelming even 1-star cultivators with weak foundations. Wang Hao savored the intoxicating thrill of ascending strength. To overpower professional cultivators, this was undeniably terrifying. After all, the gulf between those who had undergone formal cultivation initiation and those who had not was at equal ranks nothing short of cosmic. Time to enjoy hot pot again. Days of stale bread and self-heating rice have long since soured my palate. Wang Hao stowed all his rewards and stepped outside, only to find Zhao Meiyan and her 2 companions still pressed against the wall lingering. He paid them no mind and continued searching for another 1-star wheel. How many spins did he make? Zhao Meiyan murmured. Around 20, the blonde girl hesitated. Where did he get so many cubes? Is there some method we don't know about? Zhao Meiyan recalled the cascade of rewards Wang Hao had just claimed and sighed enviously. 20 spins. I struggled just to complete 2. By the way, does he favor fencing? We're both stunningly beautiful, yet he didn't spare us a glance. Zhao Meiyan suddenly spotted the chubby boy nearby and slapped his head lightly. Look at him. He's male just like you. Yet he crackles with lightning and thunder. And you tremble in fear just picking up a cube. The chubby boy shrank back, thinking if I were truly formidable, I'd be chasing you, not cowering here. Am I mad? Sister Yin, has your cousin sent word yet? The chubby boy asked. 2 days ago, he told me he'd pledged loyalty to an exceptionally powerful master and promised to summon us once he'd secured his position. Zhao Meiyan pulled out her phone. News should arrive soon. He used to fight 2 villagers at once back in our village. Truly astonishing. Making a favorable impression before his master would be child's play. Wang Hao methodically searched floor after floor, until on the 6th floor office, he finally located the 1-star wheel he remembered. Gazing at its prizes, he rubbed his palms together eagerly. Occupation scroll. Occupation scroll. I'd trade 10 years of celibacy as a demon sovereign for just 1. Demon sovereign, is that remotely polite? Wang Hao held his breath, then pressed the activation key on the wheel. He recalled only 4 such wheels. If this one yielded nothing, he'd have to trek over 10 kilometers to locate another. And if that one also failed, his momentum would grind to a halt. Instantly, the wheel's circular frame shifted from green to azure. Its array of prizes shimmered anew, and there, unmistakable among them, lay a single scroll. Its sectors expanded from 8 to 9. Wang Hao erupted in ecstatic joy. Demon Sovereign, I adore you. His second 1-star will had already granted him the occupation scroll. Such fortune, anyone witnessing it would ache with envy. Yet as anticipated, the scroll's drop rate stood at a mere 1.5, a lower even than the 1.9 chance of obtaining a 2-star enhancement serum. Wang Hao withdrew 74 green crystals and murmured, so long as the scroll appears, these crystals are well spent. Even if none emerges afterward, I'll accept it. After all, relentless investment will eventually yield results far better than having nowhere to invest at all. His mindset had settled, no longer driven by frantic desire. He exhaled deeply and fed a crystal into the wheel. 1-star alloy blade. Not bad. His very first spin yielded a 1-star weapon. 2-star pork tins processed from meat of 1-star, mutated boars sufficient to sustain cultivators ranked 1 to 2 stars. 1-star enhancement serum. 1-star enhancement serum. 10-person communal meal. 1-star includes rice, mixed vegetables, pork, chicken, and more, ready to serve upon opening. 2-star enhancement serum. Damn. Wang Hao stared at the serum tumbling from the wheel. His grin stretched ear to ear. With only a 1.9 probability, he'd drawn it on his 6th spin. His luck, it seemed, had soared ever since stumbling upon that ordinary wheel, and even without further windfalls, today's haul remained profoundly worthwhile. 74 green crystals for a single 2-star serum. He'd gladly exchange them outright. For at this stage, such a serum represented a breakthrough reward, far superior to those others would begin drawing months from now. Now armed with a 2-star serum, he could ascend instantly, ensuring his strength surged ahead of all rivals. My fortune has reached such heights. Might as well gamble for a 2-star axe. Wang Hao grew bolder and fed another crystal into the wheel. 1-star breakthrough hand-eye compact submachine gun. 2-star Guardian 2 black tactical vest. 1-star portable Wi-Fi 10 gigabit speed instant activation. provides seamless connectivity anywhere under any conditions. Note exclusive to a single user. 1-star portable base station, signal amplified tenfold. Compact lightweight, delivers stable reception anywhere under any conditions. Note exclusive to a single user. 1-star occupation scroll permits formal initiation for cultivators ranked 1-star or higher, granting formidable abilities. The specific occupation is determined randomly upon unsealing influenced by the bearer's innate fortune. Damn. Wang Hao stood utterly dumbfounded. He'd thought himself audacious merely for hoping for a 2-star axe, but his ambition had been dwarfed. The scroll itself had appeared. First a 2-star serum, then the scroll. Today's fortune was nothing short of explosive. Even the legendary Lady of Luck could scarcely rival such serendipity. Initiation requirements, however, proved refreshingly simple. One need only attain the rank matching the scroll's star rating. For instance, a 1-star occupation scroll requires a cultivator of at least 1-star rank. There are actually only 2 professions, melee and archer. The strength of a profession depends on talent. When a person changes profession, they randomly gain a talent such as enhanced strength, speed, or stamina. Each attack carries a weapon or a similar to axe energy, fighting to the bitter in team spirit, ultra-long range, and unerring shots among others. The strength of the talent is determined by its enhancement of combat power. For example, in his past life, Wang Hao encountered a sniper whose bullets could curve, catching opponents off guard and greatly boosting combat effectiveness. Such a talent undoubtedly belongs to a powerful profession. Talent is largely based on luck. With each star level up, one can change professions once. In my past life, I changed 9 times, and the talents I randomly obtained were either useless or ordinary. Wang Hao thought of the ridiculous talent he got when he reached 5 stars, which was defensive enhancement when catching a blade with bare hands, and he couldn't help but laugh. Damn it. At that time, his beautiful confidant laughed so hard that his face turned pale. The probability of drawing a profession scroll from the wheel is 50 for melee and 50 for archer. With my current luck, I can't possibly draw an archer's profession scroll. Wang Hao thought to click on the flickering icon on the wheel. Suddenly, a metallic white scroll fell. He felt a bit anxious. It better be an archer's. Otherwise, it would be a disaster. Taking a deep breath, Wang Hao slowly opened the scroll, and several lines of black text immediately appeared. Melee profession scroll, sign your name at the end to change to a melee combat profession, using weapons such as swords, guns, and axes, and randomly gain a talent with a certain probability of obtaining accompanying equipment. Nice. It didn't make me break apart. Wang Hao eagerly took the pen attached to the scroll and signed his name in the designated area. The text on the scroll suddenly erupted with brilliant light, blinding Wang Hao. When the white light in his eyes gradually faded, the scroll and pen had already disappeared, replaced by a silver dragon ring and a note filled with text. It read, "You have successfully changed to a 1-star warrior, random talent, stronger when facing stronger opponents. When a warrior faces a more powerful enemy, all aspects of their abilities receive a certain enhancement, theoretically with no upper limit. The stronger the enemy encountered, the stronger the warrior becomes. Congratulations. You have obtained the warrior's accompanying equipment, silver dragon ring. 1-star silver dragon ring function, based on the weapon the warrior holds. It grants the weapon a certain characteristic. Touching the ring will bring up a description of the characteristic. P.S. The silver dragon ring can be leveled up by the number of kills." Wang Hao felt a chill on his scalp. What day is it today? This luck. It's too unbelievable. The talent stronger when facing stronger opponents reminded him of the strongest high school student in history. Unless it's a crushing defeat, the opponent will find that this guy across from them gets stronger the more they fight. One could say Wang Hao has this talent. It doesn't matter what talent he gets from future profession changes. I always thought accompanying equipment was written on the scroll for people to see. I've traveled far and wide, and I've never heard of anyone obtaining accompanying equipment, which means the chance of getting accompanying equipment is extremely low. Wang Hao smirked. How much life have I sacrificed to receive accompanying equipment? He slipped the silver dragon ring onto his middle finger. Then he touched the ring. A virtual screen appeared as seen in future worlds, displaying silver dragon ring level 1-star function 1 grants weapon characteristics. Currently, the weapon used by the wearer is a hand axe, granting the explosive axe characteristic, meaning the wearer can trigger an instant 3D printing feature by swinging the hand axe, creating an identical hand axe, which can then be thrown. Upon landing, the hand axe will explode, causing damage to surrounding targets. Function 2 none. Kill count 0, 500. Wang Hao had no idea how many times he had been shocked today. His mouth was agape. The silver dragon ring turned out to be a piece of equipment that upgrades itself. This was something he had never heard of before. The characteristics granted to weapons are also extremely powerful, essentially giving Wang Hao an AoE skill. Does this count as a reversal of fortune? In my past life, I was unlucky, but in this life, everything is going smoothly. Wang Hao felt ecstatic. First, he obtained a 2-star potion, then a profession scroll, and now a strong talent along with an accompanying equipment that can level up. He now has a solid foundation. He also has a powerful profession. He is firmly at the top of the enhancer food chain. It's worth mentioning that building a foundation does not conflict with changing professions. After changing professions, one can continue to build a foundation if it hasn't been fully developed. Unless one levels up, that would mean entering the next stage, and naturally one cannot continue to build a foundation. I still have 8 green crystals. Wang Hao drank the 2 one-star enhancement potions he had just obtained. His foundation rose from 7 to 9. Now he only needs 1 more bottle to max out his foundation. He put away all the rewards he had gained and prepared to hunt zombies, planning to use a 1-star potion to conclude the day perfectly. As he walked downstairs, Wang Hao just happened to run into Zhang Jingyi and a few others coming out from the building across, accompanied by 2 disheveled girls. Zhang Jingyi nodded at Wang Hao and turned to lead his group towards the school gate, but at that moment a cockroach suddenly crawled over the school wall. This cockroach was clearly different from any Wang Hao had seen before, being a dark red color with longer and sharper spikes on its many limbs. 1-star cockroach. Wang Hao narrowed his eyes, saying, "It has commanding abilities, never acts alone. Its appearance means there is a large group of cockroaches nearby." As soon as he finished speaking, a large swarm of cockroaches suddenly appeared behind the 1-star cockroach, scurrying past it and charging directly towards Wang Hao and the others. Zhang Jingyi and his group turned pale with fright. The 2 girls had never seen such a horrifying sight, trembling with fear in their lips and legs. "Run!" The group attempted to flee back to the classroom, but when they turned around, they saw swarms of cockroaches crawling out from behind the building, and the green belt the horror of the scene tenfold that of waking up at home to find a floor covered in cockroaches, making their scalps nearly explode. There were at least hundreds of them. With just a few of them, they were no match for this swarm of cockroaches. They would likely be consumed to the bones. "What should we do? What should we do? I was fine hiding in the classroom. Why did I agree to follow you? My death is—" The 2 girls collapsed in despair, their eyes filled with hopelessness. "You all take them upstairs." Zhang Jingyi realized that if they delayed further, they would truly not escape. He decisively said, "I will hold them off." Just in time. Saved me the trouble of luring the zombies. Wang Hao took out his fireline gun, reloaded a green crystal into the chamber, and with a pull of the trigger, the green crystal spun rapidly. Whooshed! A dazzling fire line suddenly shot out, hitting the approaching cockroach, followed by Wang Hao sweeping around in a circle. In an instant, the cockroaches were engulfed in flames. Their shrill cries pierced the eardrums of everyone.